What is happening out there, Roto Scouts baseball fans? Welcome to a Monday show, gang. Good to see you. Big 10 game slate to break down today. Hope you guys are having a good start to your week out there. Good day. I'm just having one of those days. It's been a slog getting through today. Felt like everything I clicked on, I had to load twice, copy pasting stuff into the wrong spots while putting everything together for the projections and everything today. And then just like even getting up this morning, went, grabbed the shirt, came like off the rack. The entire rack came with it, crashed to the floor, make coffee, spill coffee. It's just been one of those days. Tell you what, but I'm liking the looks of this DFS slate, which is good. That's what we're here to talk about. So hopefully things pick up from here. Got plenty of time to talk through these 10 games. We'll get out right around 6 o'clock as usual. We'll take a good ride through this one, though, but a lot of appealing totals that you can see on the board there. Several 5+. We've got that Sacramento ballpark in play today. Got the Yankees showing a big total after a disappointment yesterday. They almost got, they got no hit over, or one hit over 6 by Jason Alexander. Ridiculous. Old Timers Day was fun. I was there on Saturday. It's good seeing the old 2000 team. Mo and Andy and Jorge and Tino and Bernie and O'Neill. Bunch of also ran types. Roger Clemens was there. Not that he's an also ran type, obviously. David Cohn was there. Love David Cohn. We also had Homer Bush, who's been playing in participating in Old Timers Day for a while. It's fun seeing the guys that pop up just because they got invited. And why wouldn't you? Go get a round of applause, hang out with your rich friends. OMG Lulz is here. Max Plazy is here. It's Matt Pat. What's going on, dude? Good to see you. Sam's here. Clintwood. Jesse Green. Jesse's new. Welcome. Glad you found us. So we'll dive into the slate. We'll take a tour through the 10 games. Hit the like button and subscribe as you get going. For those of you who are new, just finding us today, the website is rotoscouts.com. Access to the projections, home run model number for every individual player in every starting lineup, pitching projections, top stacks, power index, and the game screenshot of what we're about to look at. All available to you at RotoScouts. Under $1 a day to subscribe. Weekly, monthly, quarterly plans are available. So give that a look. Subscribe here on the channel so you know what's going on. And that does help bolster the numbers for us. But let's dig into this one. So starting off, we've got the Twins and the Yanks. Since we're on this screen, we'll just start with this instead of doing the preliminary pitching breakdown. It's a good pitching slate, though, overall. But the Twins and the Yanks pulling a big total against a talented young pitcher. It does concern me. You know, Zebby's got some decent strikeout stuff. He's got the ability to miss bats. He's also given up a fair amount of power, which is showing up for the Yankees in a big way today. But we know those Yanks can get out there and just swing and miss and kill lineups sometimes. So I think it's a good targetable spot where we're playing Yankees bats, but a little bit of concern and maybe a little bit of loose playability on Zebby despite that big total. Will Warren is on the mound for the Yankees. He's keeping the Twins down under a 4-run implied total. My concerns there are multiple. One, Warren has given up a little bit of premium contact and power himself. He has been bumpy with walks. He's very good for strikeout stuff. But in addition to the Twins just having some decent bats, they're getting Byron Buxton back. Even with the fire sale, they've still got some interesting enough names in Yankee Stadium on a day that's going to play up some offense. The other issue there is when we consider Will Warren, the Yankees have gone, and I've been mentioning it all season long as a thing that Boone is likely to do most of the time. And then ever since they bolstered this bullpen at the deadline, the Yankees have gone 10 straight days without a starter going out for the 6th inning. That's it. And especially a guy like Will Warren. Like Max Fried just had a bumpy start. Would Max have come out for the 6th in a good start? Sure. Carlos Rodon, same deal. But Will Warren, I think we're seeing 5, and that's it, pretty much regardless of how things are going. If he's no hitting them with a bunch of strikeouts, maybe, but doesn't seem like a great spot, but we'll give it a look, obviously. It's Chris Paddock on the bump for the Tigers, going up against a opener follower with Elvis Spaghetto and Tyler Alexander that's pushing a nearly 5-run total toward the Tigers, making them look pretty appealing. 4.19 implied total on the White Sox side against a gettable Chris Paddock. If you're inclined to play the White Sox, low ownership reasons, there are some bats that we'll at least look at. Guys like Colson Montgomery, obviously interesting. Lou Bob is interesting. So more playable version of the White Sox at this point in the season than maybe what we started with. Andrew Heaney looking like a target for some Milwaukee bats. They're at the highest implied total on the board at 5.31. That's a juicy spot. Heaney's been super gettable throughout the season. He's also just been making short starts, and he had a couple relief appearances along the way. But he hasn't gone into the sixth since June 30th. Just been bumpy along the way. Super gettable spot there. And the Brewers, just a good run-scoring team, despite not being great at any one thing. A lot of guys that are good at basically everything. 3.80 implied total, rather, for the Pirates against Jose Quintana. It's a usable spot for Quintana. He is capable of finding a handful of strikeouts against this Pirates team, keeping them off the board. That sub-4 total is fairly appealing. He's definitely in the SP2 conversation. Where are we at here? Nationals and the Royals. Cade Cavalli on the mound for the Nats. 88 pitches in his debut, but only went 4 1/3. He struck out 6 along the way, though. Allowed just 3 hits. That was against the Athletics on a day where we weren't giving him consideration. Given those pitches, I think 5 is easily in the cards here. It's just low strikeout Kansas City team on the other side and a fairly appealing total for those KC bats at 4.67 implied. But the kid seems like he's got a little something. He was, formerly a highly regarded prospect who just missed 2 years after surgery, but that was a nice return. And then it's Bailey Falter on the mound for KC. Sub-4 implied total for the Nats maybe makes Falter, I don't know, worth looking at. He's just not good. It's more a situation where the Nats aren't good. They haven't been good against lefties. He's not good. Kind of collision of factors. And I don't really want anything there. But I think the more playable side may actually lay with Falter in that one, oddly. But again, probably just best left alone on both sides of that equation. The Rockies at the Cardinals, a 3.53 implied total for the terrible Colorado Rockies. They're going up against Miles Mikolas, who another pitcher, not all that good. Capable of eating some innings against a bad team like this, but low strikeout, high contact. There's not a lot to like about Miles Mikolas, even against that team. That is a very low run total, though. Chase Dollander's on the bump for the Rockies, making the Cards look pretty good at 5.07. They land in the middle of the board. They're another team that's just kind of mediocre at everything, but when they get decent totals, it does goose them on the overall stacks board, make them look a little bit better. But they're still a middle of the board offense, and that's important to remember. Dollander, as much as he's not been good throughout this season, it's also important to remember with him, he is a highly regarded pitching prospect. It's not totally his fault that his rookie season and the next few seasons for the foreseeable future come with the Colorado Rockies. There's a lot of downside in that, but the kid does have talent, and this game's taking place in St. Louis. Something to remember. Diamondbacks at the Rangers. Now we get to some appealing options. Ryan Nelson on the bump for the Diamondbacks, a totally underrated pitcher. 4.23 implied total for the Rangers. I think Nelson is more than capable of beating that number and capable of putting up a good DFS day for a fair price. 8 strikeouts in each of his last 2 appearances. Typically gives you 6. He went 6 exactly in the 2 prior to that. 5 1/3, 5 2/3 in the 2 most recent ones. Has given up 4 earned runs over those 4 starts. He's been on a good stretch, and he's just been good basically since around this time last year. I keep talking about it, and he keeps on succeeding. That 4.23 implied total maybe gives some playability to the Rangers bats, but they've been underperforming basically all season. 3.35 implied total on the Diamondback side is very low because they're going up against Nathan Eovaldi. There's obviously some talent and upside in the Diamondbacks when you can get them at low ownership, but Eovaldi's been nothing short of spectacular basically all season outside of a couple bumps with some injuries that caused him to miss a start here, a start there, and a couple short outings because of that. He has been just tremendous. So checking the Diamondbacks down believably, he's looking very good up near the top of the board. Red Sox and the Astros, just a 7.5 run total there. The Astros coming in at just 3.33. They're going up against Garrett Crochet, who has also been mostly tremendous all season long. 7 innings in his last start, 6 exactly in the 2 starts prior to that. We talked last time out about, are they going to start winding down some innings for him, considering the pileup of innings that they're putting on this arm? I think it's a bad idea what they're doing for him and their collective future, but they are going to seemingly continue to roll out the arm. So I think he's very much in play. 4.25 implied total for his Red Sox. They're going up against Christian Javier, who is making his season debut. He's been injured basically since he made 7 starts last year. So it's been a minute. Talented kid. Had a really good 2022, slipped back a little bit in 2023, and has been basically gone since then. He threw 77 pitches in his last rehab start, the 5th of 5 rehab starts. So I think 85 pitches is probably in the cards here, but it's not looking like a great spot. I think there are just better options on the board overall, and that's an appealing enough offense for the Red Sox. Doesn't necessarily make me need to go to Red Sox bats, though, because, again, he's good enough to keep them around that total. Like, I think that's a very realistic 4-run type game for the Red Sox. Dodgers Angels, 4.57 implied total for the Dodgers. They're facing Jose Soriano, another pitcher who can keep offenses down on surprising days. He's capable of going deep into games. He can find some strikeout stuff when he needs it. He keeps the ball down very effectively, but can also lose badly, like he demonstrated last time out. 4 innings, 7 earned runs to the Rays, gave up a homer, struck out just 4, and walked 1. Start prior to that against the Rangers, 7 innings of 1-run ball, 7 strikeout, 2 walk. Capable of breaking off a start like that on short notice. I think he's in play, but the Dodgers obviously appealing. And then the Angels, just a 3.53 implied total for them. High strikeout lineup against Yoshi Yamamoto, pushing a lot of upside in his direction. He's been very good all year long as well. Yu Darvish, bumpy one, 4 innings, 3 earned runs, 5 strikeouts, 2 walks, a home run allowed to Arizona his last time out. That was coming off of his 1 good start of the year. That was 7 innings against the Mets of 2-hit shutout ball, struck out 7 in that game. I continue to think that was just a blip, a return for that day of the good version of Yu Darvish. The stuff was working particularly well that day. We'll see that, I think, from time to time, but I think the day-to-day is going to be more targetable. That said, pitcher-friendly Park, 3.95 implied total for the Giants isn't exactly standing out. Logan Webb is on the mound for the Giants. He looks tremendous, even against a fairly low strikeout, highly talented Padres team. He's got them checked down at a 3.62 implied total because he's just tremendous. And then we end with this game out in the Sacramento ballpark. I will say that Ryan Pepio, talented guy, wouldn't shock me. It wouldn't knock me out of my chair if he had an effective day, gave up a few runs, but found some Ks against this Athletics team. My money's going with the 5+ implied totals, the wind blowing out in this ballpark to help things out. The Rays get to face Jeffrey Springs, who's had a kind of up and down season. He has been on a stretch of decent starts, but has given up power in each one of those starts. 2 of those were on the road, only 1 of them at home. Found 7 strikeouts against Seattle in this ballpark the last time he pitched at home, though. 6 innings, 1-run ball, 2 hits, 7 Ks. Easily could be capable of doing that against the Rays here. So I do think there's a little back and forth between the pitchers there. If you absolutely, gun to your head, had to go to somebody in that game, but I don't think you absolutely need to either. And just the odds are with the bats there. So we're going to consider some big time late night hammer bats out of that last game. We do have weather. Detroit at Chicago has a giant paragraph from Mr. Roth that I encourage you to read. He's basically got it at yellow. A lot of weather in the area. It seems like he's thinking that it'll start, maybe get a delay, and then maybe not finish. Seems shaky. Washington at KC. Seems like more of a pop-up storm kind of situation where there's weather in the area, but less likely to actually land on the ballpark unless we just flat get unlucky. But he's also got that one yellow, so I'd say keep an eye on that. St. Louis looks fine. He just mentions, keep an eye out because, obviously that part of the country has weather in it today. Wind is blowing out in San Francisco where it does not matter, and it's warm and the wind is blowing out in that Athletics ballpark where it very much does matter. Pitching board. So, Garrett Crochet. Again, I don't really know what they're doing to that arm, but he's been fantastic. I can't really blame them. It's obviously working out. 11,000, 11,500. Now they're in the thick of the playoffs, the playoff hunt. So obviously they need him. He projects out great. That is a good Houston lineup that's seen some improvement lately. Some of the underperformers have started hitting a little bit more like themselves. I like the addition of Edson Sanchez to that lineup. But Crochet is another animal. He is very, very good up top. I think Yoshi Yamamoto picks up a little bit of a kick from the strikeout upside in that Angels lineup. It's not entirely safe. They've got a ton of power there. 10-3, 99, especially at that 99 on DraftKings, as compared to Eovaldi, Crochet, basically the same as Webb. I think that's a really good spot. Between the top four there, I think Yamamoto's got the easiest matchup. The Astros are pretty good. Diamondbacks, obviously. Padres, obviously. Logan Webb, excellent at limiting runs. Between those top four guys, Webb would be the lower end of the strikeout spectrum, I think. Obviously, more for Yamamoto. Crochet capable of racking up a big number against basically anybody. And then Eovaldi, I think, finds a little bit more upside through that than Webb does, but it's close between those two. 10-5, 10-2 on FanDuel, 10-2, 9-7 on DraftKings. Either direction is fine. I would say Eovaldi maybe slightly favored, just given a slight diminishment overall in that Arizona lineup. And actually both those guys very, very capable of giving you 7-8 innings, but Eovaldi's done it slightly more regularly. Just a super efficient, really talented pitcher. Willie Warren projects out really well. I didn't want to knock him down too much. I could have done some other things to leave him at the innings projection, but, take a little strikeout upside away, but I didn't really want to do that. I think there's more downside maybe than is visible here, but he's very playable at 75 on DraftKings. My concern is more on FanDuel for the 87. I don't think you have the quality start. I really don't, unless he's just perfect, and he's unlikely to be perfect. That Twins team's got enough talent, and they're very capable of putting the ball in the seats, especially the way the Yankee Stadium plays this time of year. Javier, again, that's a short start projection. That's giving him 5. He's good, but this is a situation where I think that's your median, or that median is also your ceiling, right? That's the correct projection for that amount of time and what he's likely to do. But I don't think you have upside on the Christian Javier play. So I'd probably lean away from that one. Nelson very much on the board, a bargain at 77 on DraftKings. That is very affordable. That's my favorite SP2 so far. I think he's got significantly more upside than what Warren's likely to give you. Not necessarily man for man, strikeout for strikeout potential, but just with the expectation of limited time for Warren that Nelson just does not really come with. I think he definitely gains ground on ceiling there. Pepio at 92 is, challenging on FanDuel. Same thing with Springs at 95. Again, that ballpark is killer. If I have to decide, I definitely lean in favor of the bats in that one. But having them right next to each other at that part of the board, you can see how differently priced they are on DraftKings. At 8,000, I'm a lot less concerned. Pepio's talented enough to beat that team in that ballpark for that price. And Springs, a downright bargain at 69. So DraftKings got it right price-wise. FanDuel did not really take into account the ballpark here. So really, really tough. They're pretty likely to be low-owned. I'll give them that much on the FanDuel slate. Darvish, not a terrible option. Considering the start that he had against the Mets, again, you can throw darts at that. He's obviously a more than capable guy over time. And that guy will show up from time to time as the career winds down here. 75-66 is good enough to play that against that San Francisco team in that San Francisco ballpark. I do think Zebby's on the board at 79 and especially at 73 on DraftKings. There is enough strikeout potential. It's not a great projection, but we're limited second half of the board. It's actually, I said it was a good pitching slate. It's actually a super top-heavy pitching slate, especially if we're knocking Warren and Javier a little bit up there. Like if you say, all right, potential limitation, known limitation, ballpark limitations, there's concern on all 4 of those guys. So you're technically saying Ryan Nelson, the top 4, and then we're dealing with Yu Darvish down. So that puts guys like Zebby, guys like Soriano, who can be good enough to beat that Dodgers team and also comes with tremendous downside because 81-71. Jose Quintana, I would say, against the probably most targetable team in baseball now, those Pirates. I think the Rockies are a little bit better. I think the White Sox are a little bit better. I think Quintana's on the board at those prices. Chris Paddock is really difficult to recommend, but he's only 6,800 on DraftKings. Same thing with Andrew Heaney. I just don't think Heaney, given the short starts that he's been making, 57 against the Brewers when they're leading the slate, doesn't feel like something that's really worth gambling on. Michael is probably a better spot than Heaney, going up against Colorado for 63. At 71, again, if you're not spending all the way to the top, some of these cheaper guys might be your better options just if you're looking at 6 innings. I know there's runs that are going to come with it, but I need 6 innings and my cheap price. And then I hope that each of the guys at the expensive prices gives up a couple of runs to even that out. And then you land on the better back combinations. So I do think there's playability through those lower parts. Cavalli, I really question, especially at the 85 on DraftKings. That's uncomfortably high. On FanDuel, you're unlikely to get through a 6th inning, a quality start. Falter against DC is maybe on the board, 74, 6,000. Tyler Alexander, no. Chase Dollander, probably not. And Elvis Peguero is just an opener. Dollander, I will say, at 66 and especially at 5 on DraftKings. What does his depth look like? 5 2/3. I had a good stretch there back in mid-June. And then, oh, you know what? I didn't pull the minor league log. I meant to. Yeah, those were each shorter outings, but pitch counts got up okay. Yeah, Dollander also comes with just low expectations. We'll go back into the game log in a sec. I just wanted to grab. He's been down in the minors for several starts in July and his first start of August. I just wanted to see what he was putting up innings wise down there. I forgot I didn't grab it, but it's challenging at the bottom of the board, even for the 5. I don't know that it comes with any real upside, but again, the kid is good enough to limit that Cardinals team a little bit more than might be expected. OMG Lowell saying Crochet Yamamoto Brewer seems optimal. Sounds like a pretty solid setup, dude. If you can get to that, yeah. Big ups beyond the rabbit hole. What's going on, dude? OMG Lowell saying welcome, Earthling. John Hensa says RG has Yanks at 4.87. What are we talking? Implied runs? What do I have? 5.18? What changed? Did that line swing? No, line's the same. I don't know. They might be looking at a different book. Mine comes from Pinnacle. I'm also seeing 5 on Labs, and they round. Keep an eye out. Let me know if I've got it wrong somewhere. So, let's dive into the game by game. This is that game. So, again, my real question with Will Warren is going to be these innings. Because the kid's good. 26.1% strikeout, but it also comes with a lot of walks, 10.6% walk rate, a 4.44 ERA, but a 3.65 xFIP. Putting way too many guys on base with that 1.42 whip, but capable of punching his way out of trouble. Does give up a little bit of premium contact and power. Has not been burnt too badly by home runs. 2.36% home run rate. The launch angle on average is kind of in the middle at 12.1 degrees, but a 9.1% barrel, 45% hard hits, and over the line for exit velo at 90.9 miles per hour on average. There is a lot of premium contact there. So I do think that we can play up some power upside out of Byron Buxton, out of Cody Clement, some of these guys on the other side of this game, or at least have it be enough of a threat to Will Warren where in a 5-inning probable start, yeah, he might find some strikeouts, but there's a lot of downside that comes with it. And there's just the idea that we're not getting any more than that. So on FanDuel at 87, I don't think we're getting much beyond this. Maybe 35-ish, somewhere in that territory, which could be a good day. But with 4 aces on the board, I don't know that it's going to be enough. At 75, it's totally different play on DraftKings. SP2 territory there, that's fine, even if you're just getting 5. More than enough upside at that price. So perfectly fine on DraftKings. Zebby at 73, at 79, you can see 28.9% strikeouts, just 6% walks over his 8 starts. It's 38 and a third in the show. He's given up a 5.17 ERA, but it has just a 3.11 xFIP. That's a dramatic difference between the ERA number and the expected number for what he can actually control here. You do have a little bit of short start on him in a lot of outings, but he completed the 6th back on July 25th against the Nationals. 2-hit shutout, faced 20 hitters, struck out 7, didn't walk anybody. Was tremendous in that game. 5-run day against the Red Sox over 4 1/3, gave up 8 hits. Pretty rough one there. But came off that one, had a 5-hit day, but just gave up 1 earned run, struck out 6, walked 1 over 5 against Detroit. I think the expectation should be around 5, maybe 5+, but probably not more than 6 for Zebby. There is strikeout in this Yankees lineup, though, 23.6% for this confirmed version of the lineup this year, 25.3% for this same collection of hitters last year. Really, only Cody Bellinger is truly low strikeout. Ben Rice is down at 19.3% this year, but that's down from 27 last year as a rookie. So, we'll see where that goes. That's a limited number of plate appearances last year. Goldschmidt, 18.5 this year, but that's down from 26.5 last year, 23.4 the year before. Transformed kind of a hitter, but maybe still overperforming his actual number for the full season there. There is strikeout ability on board for Zebby, 12.3% swinging. I just get a little bit concerned around some of the power, but actually the premium contact numbers have been fine just outside of that 9.3% barrel rate and all the fly balls at 18.2 degree average launch. The hard hits at 38%, the exit velo 88.9 miles an hour, perfectly fine. Just do have a lot of power showing for the Yanks. Top of the Twins, Byron Buxton back in the lineup. 11.47 in the model out of the gate. He's had a great season when he's been available. His one problem continues to be actually staying on the field, but 23 homers, 17 steals, a 145 WRC+. No reason not to play some Twins if you're building a bunch of lineups today, or if you're just looking for a little bit of an oddball stack. I think they can beat that total pretty handily, and there is enough power in this lineup and a little bit of positional flex as well. Like Cody Clemens at just 3,800. First base, not ideal, but you can stick him in the outfield on DraftKings and add a power bat for a pretty cheap price over there. Love him at second base on FanDuel. He's got 4 position eligibility on that slate, 2,800. You can see the monster 12.7% barrel, 53.6% hard hit. He's hit 13 home runs, has a 251 ISO over just 242 plate appearances. If nothing else, Cody Clemens brings very realistic left-handed power to Yankee Stadium, and we know how that plays in this ballpark. Ryan Jeffers makes good contact for a fairly affordable catcher at 4,000. That's not bad. 2,900. You don't need the position on DraftKings, but you also don't have another guy who has to go at first base in this lineup. So if you're stacking Twins using Jeffers at the catcher first base spot, perfectly fine. 8 home runs on the board over 362 plate appearances. There's a little fly buzzing around here, just landing on my face. 8 home runs over 362 plate appearances, less than ideal, but a 271, 354, 414 slash line. His creator runs 16% better than average and does have a little bit more day-to-day power than that. I like the upside. Luke Keeshaw's interesting, 35-32, very differently priced. FanDuel's probably more correct. Over 48 plate appearances, has been outstanding. 415, 500, 707 with a 293 ISO, a pair of home runs and 5 steals. Probably not going to keep up being the best player in baseball all that much longer, but that was a nice little stretch. So you can get any kind of upside from the cleanup spot for a really cheap price at second base. The one thing that it does on FanDuel is it knocks Cody Clemens out of second base, but you can stick him in the outfield and just roll with that. That's perfectly fine. And you're only paying $31.75, fairly priced. Trevor Larnach at 36.29 has 15 home runs over 422 plate appearances, 165 ISO, kind of medium power. His premium contact matches that. It's been better in seasons past. He lost some barrel rate so far this year. Hasn't really been able to find it, but upside for a home run from the big lefty in Yankee Stadium. Brooks Lee at 3,025 has 11 home runs, a 126 ISO. Kind of mismatched numbers there. 6.1% barrel, 40.6% hard hit this year, up from 4.1, 24.5 last year. More low strikeout, contact-oriented kind of a player. I would expect that the ISO is the more correct between that and his home run total. Royce Lewis, Solid premium contact. Same thing with Edward Julian. Julian's never stopped hitting the ball hard. That's what makes him interesting. He strikes out way too much. He's wildly inconsistent. He's always very, very cheap. He's yet another second baseman in this lineup. Lewis has underperformed this year. 5 home runs in 230 plate appearances, a bad slash line, sub 300 on base. You get sub 300 on base from the last 4 hitters in this lineup. That is less than ideal. Ryan Fitzgerald, that only comes over 7 plate appearances. He's got a home run on the board in that small sample, 171 WRC plus. So that gives us 3 straight second basemen, and then actually wanting to put Cody Clemens at second base. It's a few too many options for that spot. Is not great for how this Twins team stacks up, but you can move at least the more interesting guys around a little bit so you can get there. Julian is kind of interesting down there. The 28 on DraftKings kind of works at second. And then Fitzgerald last season in AAA for Kansas City, 14 home runs, mediocre slash line, decent on base, mediocre ISO, a lot of strikeout, but decent walk rate, similar numbers over the last couple of years. So I do think there's a little bit of playability there. Just depending more on what you're doing up here. These guys are kind of afterthoughts, but they're not dead at the bottom of the lineup considering how they contact the ball or some decent minor league productivity. Trent Grisham at the top for the Yankees, just rolling along this season. He had another great day the other day, hit the game-winning home run, got on base, I think, like 4 times on Saturday. 21 homers on this season, a 350 on base, holding down that leadoff spot nicely when he's up there. 218 ISO on the board, 129 WRC plus. Excellent pairing with Aaron Judge. Cody Bellinger follows them. You do have 4 outfielders to lead things off. Bellinger getting first base eligibility still on FanDuel, but you do have to make a decision among the top of the Yankees lineup on DraftKings if you're going that direction. So there's a sacrifice to be made. You do have some expensive bats, so I would lean, maybe Grisham and 2 of the other guys. And knock out one of the prices. You obviously want Judge in there, though. 37 home runs and a monster 17.99 in the home run model today to lead the day. Cody Bellinger at 54.35, fairly priced. 20 home runs, 10 stolen bases at 213 ISO. Giancarlo Stanton, 10 home runs on the board, 275, 358, 527 at 252 ISO. Just Giancarlo Stanton out there doing his thing, managed to not hurt himself while playing in the outfield the other day. Knock on wood, because he's going to be out in right field again today. It's not pretty. He actually made a decent throw, and the Yankees didn't review a safe call at home plate. And I was thinking that considering who threw it, they should have gotten some additional little extra credit there. Played a ball terribly off the wall, as if he didn't know that the ball would go back that way once it hit the wall. But, one good, one bad play. But as long as he stays healthy while playing the outfield, we're fine. But more to the point, a very appealing bet at 48 at 32. The DraftKings price coming up a little bit. FanDuel, not really. Ben Rice at 45 at 3,000, a little bit below the magic number. But, look at all the power showing upside for the Yankees there. That's a big stretch. Rice sub 20% strikeout, also draws a bunch of walks, 54% hard hit rate, 15% barrels this year. The pace overall has slowed down from a good start. He's down to 231, 324, 453, 16 home runs, still has that monster 222 ISO and a significant 403 xWOB under the surface. Jazz Chisholm's tremendous 19 homers, 14 steals. Up and down roller coaster kind of a guy, never going to hit for a great average, 237, 328, 458, but a lot of power, a lot of upside from the left side of the plate. Expensive bat at second base, but a good way to fill that position, 10.46 in the home run model. And this is where the Yankees really differentiate from some of the other teams when we just talk about the overall projection averages, because the bottom 3 in their lineup, solid bats, Paul Goldschmidt, Ryan McMahon, Anthony Volpe. There's DFS upside, if nothing else, in those guys. 10 home runs for Goldie, 16 for McMahon, 17 for Volpe, and adds 15 stolen bases to that. I still continue to think that Anthony Volpe is not all that good, but he makes good contact, 10.1% barrels, 43.1% hard hits. He does deliver on that. 198 ISO on the season. You can see where I'm talking about more on the 92 WRC plus, the 316 xWOBA. Strikes out too much, doesn't draw enough walks. Not good defensively, really, outside of a little bit of range. Ryan McMahon's a tremendous defender. Solid 3 true outcomes bat, 31.6% strikeouts, 12.1% walks to offset that. A lot of premium contact, 11.9%, 49.4% hard hit rate. You get that from so many of these Yankees bats. They're playable 1 through 9 in basically any configuration. But McMahon remains really interesting because he's super cheap at 34, at 28 on FanDuel. Fills third base and helps offset like the price of Jazz at second if you're going in that combinations direction. And McMahon doesn't get credit for having that big lefty thunder in Yankee Stadium. He did, used to get a bump from playing in Coors Field a lot of the time. Sure, if you look at his home road splits, but we've seen that over time with a lot of guys that come out of playing half their games at Coors Field, playing for another organization, and home numbers go up and, everything normalizes. Because there is a weird, once you are a home player at Coors Field and then go out on the road, there's a weird reverse impact there. Anyway, considering the potential only 5 innings limitation, I will say Yankees bats above Will Warren. Yankees bats, Will Warren on DraftKings. Zebby, Twins bats. And I really don't like the looks of Will Warren on FanDuel at 87. I just think that price is concerning. Munganak, did I say hi back to you? Kenny Woodhouse? Forget whether I said hi back. Chewed up a lot of time on that first game. Oh, yeah, that's DC. All right. This one. There it is. White Sox is in. Tigers is not. So just watch the weather in this one. Just to note that again. Little bit of concern about this one, especially if we get that mid-game. That's always the worst. Especially with the Tigers looking good at a 4.91 implied total. It's Elvis Spaghetto opening. We'll probably see him for an inning. 7 1/3. Obviously no strikeout there, no walk there, nothing to talk about since we're only getting him most likely for an inning. Did go an inning and a third against Colorado, so maybe comes out for a second inning. Going back all the way to the very beginning of the season, an inning and a third, 2 innings, and a couple other performances, but not a lot to see here. And then he's followed by Tyler Alexander, who's been pitching in mostly a bulk relief role. 3-4 innings, I think, is the expectation there. We don't really want Tyler Alexander either. Pitching to a 20% strikeout rate, a 4.52 ERA with a 4.18 xFIP overall, 7.7% walk. Not terrible in terms of the premium contact, the power. Oh, ignore it. This is the premium, the projected lineup switched against the lefty when that went in. So we'll have to see if I'll update it when the Tigers actual lineup comes out. I'm going to switch it back. Johnny Jones and Matt Vierling are not projected currently. But Alexander not giving you any additional upside except for maybe sliding a little bit lower in the power numbers. Get that back where it was. On this side, Paddock at 68, at 85, 17.3% strikeouts against 5.3% walks, 4.91 ERA against a 4.54 xFIP. Not very good. There's too many guys on base via that 1.25 whip, but with the low walk, it does come via more contact, BABIP success. So there is maybe, arguably, if he can miss some bats here, find some weak and medium contact among some of the lower end White Sox hitters, there's a path. But he gives up a lot of premium contact, 8.9% barrel, 45.2% hard hit, 90 plus on the exit velo, nearly a 4% home run. That's entirely believable. 4.19 implied total for Chicago on the other side, showing some medium grade power through the top line of the lineup, the guys you would suspect. I lean White Sox bats a little bit, but I think at 68, at least Chris Paddock in the SP2 conversation pretty firmly. There's enough upside for him. He's been way better in seasons past than what he's done this season. I would say that obviously the ERA, the xFIP numbers here are tragic, as are this part of the premium contact board, actually the entire premium contact board. But there's just enough, given that he's not giving away the free passes. These White Sox not the most likely bunch to suddenly make him give up a lot of walks today. You can just kind of see the path. Again, not a recommendation. so much as it's there. Last time out, 4 earned runs, gave up 2 homers over 4 innings against the Twins. But the start before that and the start before that one, pretty clean. 6 innings apiece, 1 against the Diamondbacks. 6 innings, 1 run, 3 hits, 5 strikeouts, no walk. We take that. The Diamondbacks are quite a bit better than the White Sox. And then the start before that, 1 earned run on 4 hits over 6, struck out 8, did allow a home run, but it was a solo shot. Didn't matter. No walk. That was against the Dodgers. Start before that one was at Coors Field, obviously. Take that off the board. 6 runs against the Cubs was a meltdown. Bad stretch of 6, 7 starts in a row. Going all the way back to June 1st against the Mariners at Seattle. He went 8, struck out 10, 4-hitter. We're not looking for that one, obviously. But I think something like the 5 strikeout, couple few hits, maybe a run or 2, like what he did against the Diamondbacks, could be in play. Again, that's like I said, it's not really a recommendation and certainly not at that price. It's more just pointing out oh, look, there's a weird path over there that's all covered with leaves and sticks and snakes and stuff. Especially with the rain potentially taking it off the board as well. Colt Keith is very cheap at the top of the Tigers lineup for just $3,500. Again, this is the projected lineup. We'll see what we get with the lefty coming in as the follower. But I would expect Keith, even if he drops in the lineup, will probably be in there. They might not be this lefty heavy, but he's become basically a regular. 262, 345, 415 for them, a 113 WRC plus, 9 home runs, carrying a 359 xWOB under the surface, hits the ball very hard. As I've said many times, and I'm just quoting other people, development not linear. This guy was a former top prospect. Took him a moment, but he's good. There is a lot of talent there. Gleyber Torres at 47.31. Very affordable for a guy having the year he is. 13 home runs, creating runs 24% better than average, a 395 xWOBA, not striking out, drawing a ton of walks, hitting the ball squarely, hitting ahead of and providing direct correlation with Kerry Carpenter, Spencer Torkelson, all the power upside they come with, 21 homers, 25 homers apiece. Riley Green, 2 spots later, has 27. Best bat on this team, 238 ISO, 125 WRC plus. It's also the most expensive guy on both sites, but easy to reach at 53.35, comparable to some other similar type bats. In between those guys in this projected version, Wenceel Perez, 42.28, very playable, a little bit more expensive on the DraftKings slate. 267, 321, 492 with 9 home runs over just 212 plate appearances, 226 ISO. There's a lot of appeal there. Dylan Dingler has power for a very cheap price from the catcher spot at just 36, 26 on FanDuel. You're not really playing him all that many times instead of Spencer Torkelson, but alongside maybe as a lower owned option that is capable of going deep. 10 home runs and 328 plate appearances. Has a 103 WRC plus, has an appealing 348 xWOB under the surface on some of that premium contact. Doesn't really draw walks. If he could do that, he would look significantly better. But a really interesting bat at those prices. McKinstry's a mix and match player if he's in the lineup. 10 home runs, 17 stolen bases, gets on at a good clip, very good correlated scoring option regardless of where he's hitting. And then Javi Baez down to a 98 WRC plus, just a 285 xWOB under the surface. It was a nice first half, 11 home runs. We'll see how far he falls before the end of the season. On the White Sox side, Mike Tauchman, on-base machine, 368 on base, a 129 WRC plus. Dynamite for correlated scoring. Kind of wish he was on a better team, but the White Sox have been more interesting of late, admittedly. Catching a little bit of a run with some of these younger bats. Some return to form from Lubob. Lubob up to 222, 303, 360. Still an ugly 138 ISO, but a 333 xWOB is encouraging. He's hit 12 home runs. He's stolen 31 bases. There is good fantasy production going on here, even with the bad back of the baseball card production. He's also hit the ball very hard all year long. Still strikes out a fair amount, but drawing a lot of walks this season at 10%. And the strikeouts are actually down year over year. So as bad as it's been, there are some encouraging signs there. He's their best player still. Colson Montgomery is vying for that title. 9 home runs in just 117 plate appearances, carrying a 305 ISO since coming up. 13.5% barrels, 43.2% hard hits. The kid's for real. We'll see where the normalization lands his slash line, which is still ugly at 238, 310, and 543. Obviously, the 543 is very good. 130 WRC plus, a very encouraging 372 xWOBA. Colson Montgomery, second highest priority at worst in this lineup. I would say some combination of those three, though. Probably, or at least 2 of those 3. is going into most White Sox stacks for me. And then they've got some interesting plays, right? Lennon Sosa has been kind of one of our sneaky, little bit of power, hits the ball squarely kind of guys. 14 home runs this year and 379 plate appearances, a 106 WRC plus for the season. It's the best we've seen him. Curtis Mead is kind of interesting. A couple spots down the lineup at 25 and 23, especially because he's so cheap. He's hit 3 home runs this season in 154 plate appearances. Not really strong numbers, 88 WRC plus. Depending on how you look at the organizations, maybe got pawned off on this team. Or maybe they did something smart and picked up a talented kid who's underperformed his talent so far in the show, but also hasn't really gotten a fair shake. Multi-position guy, very cheap price. Good spot in the lineup to boot. Kyle Teal, a young catcher with a 10.3% barrel over 141 plate appearances. Also drawing a very strong walk rate. 250, 350, 358 is not bad. A 103 WRC plus. Excellent xWOB under the surface is encouraging for a little bit more upside. Playable at worst, 3,000. Very affordable where you have to play the position. Again, they're going up against Chris Paddock. Yeah, he had a couple good starts that I mentioned and tried to draw the eye to a little bit, but by and large, pretty gettable pitcher. And then we get our guy down here, Michael A. 27, 24, 8 home runs, 7 stolen bases, and just 245 plate appearances, a 199 ISO. For the uninitiated, we've been following Michael A. on this show here and there as an upside option for a cheapo home run on a DFS slate where nobody plays this team and then fewer people play him in stacks. I think he's got that appeal today, 27, 24. You can see just a 3.16 in the home run model. Brooks Baldwin, mix and match caliber player at the bottom of the lineup. He does have 7 homers and 216 chances, though. He's not completely dead down there, making decent contact. This very much goes Tigers bats, White Sox bats, Chris Paddock on DraftKings, but not FanDuel, and no White Sox pitching. What's up, Doug? Oh, Detroit came out while I was talking about it. Fantastic. And no Cole Keith. All right. Andy Ibanez makes the lineup instead. Glaber moves to the leadoff spot. Let me go back real quick just because of that. Again, they're bringing in the lefty bulk reliever, so it does matter a little bit. So I was wrong that Cole Keith would be the guy that stayed in. The other 3 lefties stayed in. They're going with Zach McKinstry in the bottom of the lineup there. So Glaber moving up. And then we get Andy Ibanez in that slot. Low strikeout, low walk, right-handed bat. In his 89 plate appearances of the season against lefties, he has all 3 of his home runs this year and a 244, 292, 402 slash line with a 159 ISO and a 91 WRC plus. So yeah, he's quite a bit better against lefties than he is against righties, but I wouldn't say he's very good against either. That's Andy Ibanez. That's the only real change. Would much rather have left-handed Colt Keith going up against the opener and a garbage lefty that follows. But this is what we get. So minor ding, I would say. But this part of the lineup is still super interesting. And Dingler is interesting there. I would say those are 3 weaker points in this lineup. The non-highlighted guys. All right. Anderhini, 57, 73. 16.4% strikeout rate this year. A 4.77 ERA with a 4.79 xFIP. Oh, way over the line. Totally believable 4.50% home run rate, pushing a slate leading 5.3 implied total toward the Brewers. Quiet, Joker. I failed to lock the cat up and he's chasing Joker around. Heaney last time out, 4 2/3. Just gave up 1 earned run on a homer, struck out just 1. Came out after a short outing there. He faced 18 hitters. Start before that at Coors Field. 3 earned runs, 4 runs total on 7 hits. Just lasted 3 1/3 in that one. 18 hitters in that. 5 innings, faced 18 hitters. The start before that against Arizona was actually pretty effective. 4 strikeouts, no walk, just 2 hits, no run. Every now and then he'll get one of those, but it's been mostly short starts, mostly bad outings throughout the season. There's just nothing left. 73 on FanDuel. I don't think it's really worth throwing that dart. 57 on DraftKings if you're absolutely desperate. You're hoping for that 5-inning day. 5 innings with 4 or 5 strikeouts. That's your absolute, I don't want to say ceiling, but that's approaching the ceiling. That's like the ceiling fan that's spinning and going to cut your head off before you reach the ceiling. Jose Quintana gives you, I think, a little bit more going up against his low-end Pirates team. The 3.80 implied total helps with that. 75, 8,000 across sites. Just 16.6% strikeout for him, 8.8% walk. A 3.57 ERA is nice, but the 4.62 xFIP is the more accurate number, 4.5 run type guy. 1.34 whip, puts too many guys on base, doesn't really find any swinging strike, doesn't really find much CSW. Medium contact available at all times. 9.6% barrel, 42.3% hard hit, 89 and change on the exit velo. Has been better in years past, a little bit more strikeout in years past. It was always a lower ERA than xFIP, but he's gotten away with it over time. So there is a little faith that crafty old lefty can get through a really bad Pirates lineup and put up a reasonably good DFS score today. It's not going to be super high ceiling, but 75, 8,000, he's on the board in that ugly second half of the pitching board. Top of the Pirates with Tommy Pham. Let's see if we got this one. We do. Top of the Pirates with Leo Pereguero. Excuse me. Tommy Pham hitting second today. Pereguero, 3,300 on DraftKings, 2,300 on FanDuel. Got 4 home runs and 49 plate appearances. Ooh, I might need to give him a... Whoops. That's the wrong Pereguero. Because he hit for a little power the last time we had him, right? Maybe it's just outliers. It's weird. He did, I was remembering correctly, 2023, he hit 7 home runs in 213 plate appearances in the show. Just carried a 136 ISO over that stretch, though, so they were kind of incidental home runs. 31.5% strikeouts against just 5.2% walks that year. Hit 13 home runs in 555 plate appearances in AAA last year. Had just 5 in 288 plate appearances in AAA this year. And similar numbers for power throughout his minor league stretch. Still only 24. Doesn't really have like traditional scouting, standard power really. It's just weird that this number's popping up so low. That shouldn't be 0.55. So I got to see what the back end looks like for him. I'll fix him before lock after the show, but just bear in mind, I'm not saying run out and give him like 10 points on top of this, but 2 points seems fair. 1.5 maybe on DraftKings. If you want to just put him like where Tommy Pham is for the moment, I think that's fine. That's just a feature of whatever's here. Yeah, see, this only has him projected for 17, 18 plate appearances. So I won't take your time up to do it now. I don't know why I needed to show it to you. But that's what's creating that. Anyway, we'll get that fixed. Pereguero playable if you're choosing to attack Jose Quintana at the top. He is right-handed. Has obviously barreled a few balls. Has 4 home runs in his 49 plate appearances. A good ISO, but I think that's unrealistic to expect that to continue. I do think we're going to get a lot of strikeouts and not that many walks out of him. Tommy Pham in the second spot. Kind of normalized his season. 265, 337, 371 is not terrible, but not really showing all that much power. 5 home runs, 4 steals was always a little bit of like mid-teens and 20 stolen bases kind of a guy. 96 WRC plus, playable if you're going to Pirates, but not really a reason to go to the team. Brian Reynolds at 42, at 29, has 11 home runs in 480 plate appearances in his worst season in recent memory. Not all that much appeal outside of some good premium contact numbers. 42.29 is a good price for the name brand, but not really all that great a season. Nick Gonzalez at 34, at 28. Solid year out of him, over 235 chances. Creating runs 4% better than average by WRC plus. Good slash line, just 5 home runs, mix and match quality play. McCutcheon at 37.29 has right at league average for WRC plus. Does have 11 home runs, but kind of a down year for him overall, and we're trending down toward the back end of the career. Still makes good contact, still draws his walks. Not incapable. not incapable, and one of the more appealing Pirates bats if you're going in that direction. But again, there's not a ton of day-to-day upside. Alexander Canadio, 32-24, limited over 177 chances with a ton of strikeouts. Yeah, there is a little bit of strikeout upside for Quintana today if he's got anything to work with. Joey Bart at 27-26. No, not really. Mix and match quality catcher. He does make a little bit of good contact. So if you want to grab the cheap righty catcher in a Pirates 3-man or something, so be it. Quintana can give up a little bit of power. So Bart would be on the board, but there's not a ton of appeal. Jared Triolo's a mix and match quality guy. Sub Mendoza, sub 300 on base, over 195 chances this year. IKF's never been much of a bat. The far more appealing Brewers, their lineup is not in yet that I see. Caleb Durbin getting on base at a solid 338 clip, creating runs 2% better than average over his 336 chances. Isaac Collins has moved solidly up the lineup now. 295, 395, 448 this season, a 142 WRC plus. He's been very, very good this year. 12.7% walk rate. 3,800, 2,900. Take advantage of the cheap pricing. He has not gotten expensive. Most of these Brewers are not expensive. Even though these are in red and orange via the conditional formatting, these are just playing against those. So, I mean, yeah, those are the higher prices among these. But those are not high raw prices. They're basically the same prices as the Pirates are at today. The Brewers deserve way better than this price-wise. That is a very, very good opportunity. This team should be ludicrously popular at these prices. William Contreras at 47-31, 12 home runs on the board. A solid but unspectacular year. 354 on base, a 112 WRC plus, always playable. Solid 46.7% hard hit, low strikeout, very high walk. He's fine, honestly. You do have Vaughn here now at first base, so you have an appealing first baseman, which is the one back and forth conflict on FanDuel needing to use both those spots, that and the first base and the util. But those are two of their upside bats if you're going to this team, and they're the two best power bats. Vaughn at 36 at 29. Oh, wait. Why? They keep doing this with this lineup. They've got Yelich out of the lineup again. I shouldn't complain because I didn't notice it and I ran with it. But Yelich should be in this lineup. He got a day off the other day, but he's not hurt, right? Yeah, him, Sal Frelick, and Bryce Turang all sat yesterday. But so dumb. I'm glad I caught that now. All right, still not announced. Let me just go back in time. Bear with me, guys. Let me just grab a better version of this. Here we go. Yeah. Oh, wait. Yeah, no, it's Yelich, though. They're going to put him in. It's probably not going to be Frelick in the leadoff role, though. Where's the last? They faced a lefty just the other day. And where is this lineup? It's going to bug me now. When the hell was that? Wednesday? No. All right. I'm not going to waste more time looking for it. It's unlikely to be Frelick in the leadoff spot against the lefty. It'll probably be whatever it just was before. I did want to get Yelich in here, though, because he's going to be in the lineup. 5,000, 3,500 across sites, 9.68 in the home run model, 21 on the board. I said these two are the best power bats. That's what made me realize he wasn't in the lineup, because he's their best power bat. 21 homers on the season, a 181 ISO, makes tremendous contact. Striking out more this year. That's the one downgrade he's had this year, striking out a little bit more, walking a little bit less, but another very, very strong season out of Christian Yelich overall. Vaughn has been tremendous and is still just 36.29. He's been spectacular as a Brewer. Take advantage of the cheap pricing. The talent is very real. 13.1% barrel and 50.2% hard hits for this season, not just his time as a Brewer. If Turing's in the lineup, he's a talented guy, steals a bunch of bases, gets on at a good clip, talented, correlated scoring guy. Even if he's down lineup, he's very much in play. Fairly priced at 41, 3,000, inoffensively, I would say. Joey Ortiz probably in the bottom spot at 24-25 regardless. 7 home runs, 10 stolen bases, a mix and match quality play, if that, low-end player. But a very high-end lineup. Apologies for the messy projected lineup there. You know what? I should check. Let me just jump over to that's not what I wanted. Come on. I like theirs. That makes more sense. They have Collins down lineup a little bit. I actually kind of think they might go this way. And then, yeah, this I actually kind of agree with. Something more like that. Jansen's got a decent home run model number if he's down in the bottom of the lineup. 11 homers in 275 plate appearances with a 179 ISO. There's a little bit of pop there. That's about all you get, a home run or bust kind of a player, but definitely upside for that against Heaney and all the premium contact that he's allowed. So Brewer's very fairly priced. Interesting options. Obviously, these you can see how the coloring changed once I dropped Yelich in there at the higher numbers, though. That kind of reoriented some of that conditional formatting, but they're very affordable. Brewers bats in a big way. Jose Quintana after that, I would say probably Pirates bats against Quintana, and then Heaney on DraftKings if you're absolutely desperate. Good boy, buddy. Is that cat bothering you? He's so mean. He's so mean to you. Go lie down. Nats sub 4 implied total going up against Bailey Falter. Why are their numbers not coming up? See what I mean about it being this kind of a day? Like literally every single game has had something weird in it. Because I didn't fix this, that's why. Okay. Is it supposed to be what? I don't know why those aren't coming up. It's supposed to be populating these. You saw how KC's popped in there when I changed theirs to the correct thing, right? Is it just WSN? They haven't been good against lefties. Not nearly as good as they've been in the past. That's what I was trying to show. Well, I guess you could just see the numbers right here. They don't strike out a ton. 20.8% strikeout rate is right there, but just a 155 ISO for the active roster this year against left-handed pitching has not been overly spectacular. 251, 318, 407, a 316 xwOBA. So I don't know why that's not coming up. At best, like middle of the road against lefties. But again, Bailey Falter's not a good lefty. 4.14 ERA, a 4.97 xFIP, lots of premium contact on the board, 9.6% barrels, 44.5% hard hits, a ton of fly balls, 90.2 miles an hour of exit velo. Probably pretty lucky to not be a half a home run higher in that home run rate. A lot of contact and a lot of premium contact available for a Nats team with at least a couple guys who can hit the ball pretty hard. You can see some decent home run model numbers. James Wood, obviously the big bat at 14.24 at the top of the board there. But the number on CJ Abrams is appealing. I would say Josh Bell, Nathaniel Lowe, at worst, mid-board type guys. Paul DeYoung maybe is a oddball mixer. Even with the sub-4 implied total, I don't think the Nats are completely off the board. It's more a conversation about, do we really want Bailey Falter at 6, at 74? I think there's the upside for the money to maybe get there. You're looking for something like what he did to Detroit, 7 innings, 1-run ball, struck out 8. That I think is his best start of the year. Probably his best start of the year. Does have a couple 7-inning performances, though. Capable of going 6-7 if things are going right. Last time out, 4 innings against the Red Sox at Fenway, 7 earned runs, home run allowed, 2 strikeouts, 2 walks. Start before that, 5 innings, 1-run ball, 2 hits against the Giants out in San Francisco. 1 was a home run. Only struck out 1 and walked 4, though. Downside. So, comes with a lot of risk, even for the money. Cavalli's 85 on DraftKings. I don't think that's fair. He did throw 88 pitches in that debut, went 4 1/3, like I said, allowed just 3 hits and struck out 6. He was looking tremendous that day. But then they gave him the hook. I think there's upside for 90-plus pitches if all goes to plan, but it is a low strikeout opponent on the other side, so I don't know that he comes out of the gate quite as strong as he did in that one. His Royals strike out at just 18%. That was the Athletics that he was facing that day. There's far more strikeout there. The Royals might not be quite as high danger, but he's an underexperienced kid going up against the team with a lot of hit tool, a lot of patient hitters. I don't like the upside for him, especially not at the DK price. Wouldn't really consider it at the FanDuel price, even if I just noticed this too. The multiple Luis Garcias are back in our lives now. Awesome. Even if things go great, I don't think you're... That's probably the easiest way to fix that. It doesn't matter there. Why is that? Oh. So, yeah. Even if you're having a good day, which I'm not, K. Cavalli at that 77, I don't think you're getting to the 6th. I don't think you're getting that quality start. Even if he starts the 6th, I think he's less than likely to finish the 6th. So I think it comes with a pretty significant amount of risk. Again, Nationals bets, there is appeal. 51-36 is reasonable for James Wood. He had a big slide for a chunk of the season there, but still overall, 25 home runs, 14 stolen bases, a 132 WRC plus. He was going to cool off at some point. The season-long premium contact numbers are outrageous. He is fantastic. CJ Abrams, Needs to get things going a little bit with the premium contact numbers, 7.6% barrel and 39.9% hard hit. He makes better contact or should make better contact, and he makes frequent enough contact that those numbers should climb. He's hit 15 home runs, stolen 26 bases, has a strong slash line, and his creator runs 19% better than average. But there's a little bit more to give there. I'm convinced of it. Paul DeJong, mediocre numbers so far in the premium contact department, has 3 home runs and 115 chances, though, 4 stolen bases, formerly a very good power hitter. On any given slate against a very gettable lefty, there's upside for Paul DeJong at these prices at 29, at 24. More interesting positional eligibility, I would say, with second base on DraftKings, but playable at any of those spots. Josh Bell at 31-27, positional conflict with Nathaniel Lowe, who's back in the lineup. Between the two, I would probably take Bell and take the right-handed opportunities against Falter. Bell makes solid contact overall. He's hit 14 home runs this year, one of the better seasons he's had in recent memory for power output, but overall unspectacular. 107 WRC+. Does have that interesting 356 xWOBA, strikes out just 17.9, walks a lot, and hits the ball squarely. Should just be better than he is. Low 34-28 has just been a power bat this year, 15 home runs, just a 151 ISO, a mediocre power bat at that. Mix and match quality at first base against the lefty, even a bad lefty. Riley Adams at 26-25, Sub Mendoza 241 on base, not that much of an appeal outside of the ability to hit lefties in years past. Does have 7 home runs, most of which have come against left-handed pitching this year. Dalen Lyle, 29-27, mix and match quality guy. Luis Garcia, now the stats have disappeared. Just give up with this guy. 36-29, medium kind of a year, a lower end year overall than what he had last year. Very affordable at second base, but not ideal for him against the lefty either. Jacob Young just steals bases when he happens to get on. He's only got 12 of them, kind of irrelevant down the bottom of the lineup. Royals bats at that 4.67 implied total. Brian C., I appreciate it, buddy. Brian C. a few minutes ago said, smash the like button to keep the lights on. Am I right? Yeah. The mental lights, at least. Brian, I don't know if I would say that kind of thing to Gundacker. You know how large Gundacker is? He might be on his way to your house. I love Gun. No reason for that. There's room, I would hope, in your hearts for both of us. Even with Gun being as large as he is. Big dude. Even though he's down here on his shows, he's a big dude. Check out his wrestling videos. So yeah, Royals very much in play. OMG Lowell saying Cavalli unplayable in my opinion. I'm just challenged more by the matchup than anything else. Against the lower end team, I'd be kind of interested. But yeah, at that DraftKings price, I agree. I would not be playing him in this spot. I think that's too high a price on DK. Doug, does Zebby have reverse splits? Is he better against lefties than righties? His numbers against righty and lefty heavy teams are confusing to me. Honestly, I hadn't looked. Whatever we've got to work with, I will point out, is relatively small sample as well. He's only made, 17 starts in the show, 76 innings total. Strikes out more lefties so far. Much better xFIP so far against lefties. It's something I would expect is going to normalize. He's also given up 14 of his earned runs to lefties versus 8 to righties. 311 WOBA versus 330. More slug to righties despite more home runs, 2 home runs apiece. I think it's showing right now, but like I said, I think I would expect it to normalize, and it's around more the strikeout so far. Something to watch, sure. Oh, I'm sorry. That was just this year. What was last year? My bad. If we include last year, it swings already. My apology. I was looking at just this year. The XFIP is still slightly lower, but it's 3.52 versus 3.64. 27.4% strikeout versus 25.5. Still favoring lefties slightly, but also walks more lefties. Has given up 10 home runs to 186 lefties that he's faced, and just 5 home runs to 157 righties that he's faced. 374 WOBA allowed to left-handed hitters versus 344 to righties. So I think it's in the process of normalizing at the absolute best. Maybe a little bit of additional strikeout there. Ricky Lee saying happy Zebby 12K day. Definitely possible, man. Definitely possible. All right. Royals bats. Michael Garcia up into the leadoff spot lately. What did I do with Labs? And he's not leading off today. Mike Yastrzemski back in that role. Not notably Jonathan India, though. Seems like he's fully lost that gig. Can't blame them. It was a good idea. I talked about it opening day. He's not even in the lineup today. Opening day, I was saying, man, that's a good pickup. He's going to hold down that leadoff role so well. Did not. Yaz has had better seasons than this. 229, 326, 370, a 140 ISO, 10 home runs, a 98 WRC plus, over 404 chances. Last year, he had 18 home runs, slightly stronger slash line the year before, 15 homers in only 381 plate appearances, so better power output, a 212 ISO that year, a 206 ISO last year, and better WRC plus numbers. Not a bad option in the leadoff role against a young right-hander. A little bit of a high strikeout rate for this team, but not high strikeout overall, just an average type strikeout rate, and draws a fair amount of walks. So that's not a bad option in the leadoff role. Decent enough for correlated scoring if we're going Royals. Leans directly into Bobby Witt at 59, at 41. Tremendous option. Their best player overall. 17 homers, 30 steals for Witt. 210 ISO, a 122 WRC plus. Dude's just very, very good at baseball and fairly priced up near the top of the board. Vinny at 44, 31 immediately helps offset some of that cost of Bobby Witt. He's up to 20 home runs. This is turning into Vinny's best season, and he's doing exactly what we've called for over the last 2 years. He's continuing to hit the ball squarely while adding a little bit of barrel, which another thing, if you go back to opening day, we talked about it. Striking out slightly more than he has in the last 2 years. This is what made him super interesting over those years, and why we're saying with his frequency of contact, if he could just manage to find a little bit more barrel, a little bit more elevation, we'd get more home runs for our money, and we are. 178 ISO still needs a little work in the overall extra base hit department. Remember, he was kind of lost for the first full month of the season. 105 WRC plus, a 337 xWOBA. Very, very playable. Michael Garcia has been tremendous. I almost started with him. Hitting cleanup, hitting leadoff, wherever he lands. Always in my lineups. 4,900, 3,100 multi-position still on FanDuel for a very fair price. 11 home runs, 22 steals, getting on at a 362 clip. 129 WRC plus. Probably should be leading off. Sal Perez at 4,400 at 3,000. 14.4% barrel, a 46% hard hit. 20 home runs for Sal on the year. 200 ISO. Another good power season from him. Yeah, maybe slightly diminished from peak Sal, but still excellent at the plate. Adam Frazier, low strikeout, low walk, high contact, but low end contact as far as the quality, more a hit tool focused player. 264, 320, 351, mix and match quality guy across multiple positions. Inoffensive option at second base, though. Randall Grichuk has power in the outfield, making great contact all year long. 13.8% barrel, 51% hard hit. It's over 218 plate appearances where he has 8 home runs, a 208 ISO. Still a good right-handed power bat for a very fair price in the outfield just to round out a stack from down toward the bottom of the lineup. He is way better than Nick Lofton and Kyle Isbell probably put together. Royals bats. Nationals bats. Bailey Falter and Kate Cavalli tied more in the do not play kind of territory. Again, I don't love his option for a 6th inning over there, and I don't like that price at all. Otherwise, I would be saying, if Cavalli was, let's say, even at the FanDuel price on DraftKings at 77, he'd be much, much more on the board. Difficult spot. Rocks and the Cardinals. I've had these lineups for hours. Chase Dollander on the bump for the Rockies. Again, kid is a high-end prospect, high-end talent, but pitches most of his games for the Colorado Rockies and just has not been good in the overall. 6.68 ERA, a 4.92 xFIP, notably a lot lower than that ERA, but has a lot of work to do before. That's a good number. That's a terrible xFIP. 16.8% strikeout against 10.7% walk is terrible. 13.1% barrels is awful. 41% hard hits is over the line. That is actually a manageable number at 89.2 degrees. And I'll tell you what, the 11.7 degree average launch is also, or this is miles an hour, 11.7 degree average launch, also not bad. 4.85% home runs is a little high, but that's just the happenstance involved with allowing that many barrels. I think there's more talent here. 101 rating by Stuff Plus if you need a little bit of additional encouragement. We're not going there, though, even at 5, even at 66. Not with the cards drawn a 5+ implied total, not with the probability of just getting short outings and just getting a lot of damage. He did pitch. He was down in AAA over the last few. 5 innings, 2 2/3, 3 2/3. Gave up 5 earned runs in the 5-inning game, 3 earned runs in each of the other 2. Handful of strikeouts, but again, that's in AAA. It seems like he's probably not fully seasoned, in addition to having some downside from having pitched a lot of games at Coors Field. Had a couple of okay starts, though, on the road. Against the Nationals in D.C. on the 19th of June, went 6, allowed 2 earned runs, struck out just 2, didn't walk anybody, but that's an okay, effective enough start. 4 strikeouts, but 3 walks, 3 earned runs on 6 hits over 6 against Atlanta at Atlanta. 6 innings at Texas back in May. 2 earned runs, struck out 7. Just 1 hit allowed. That was probably his best day. The whole idea of bringing up any of those numbers is just to say that it wouldn't stun me if he held down these cards in not a big way, but like he comes out of the 5th. Thank you very much, kid. Go hit the showers. And he's given up 2-3 runs instead of a monster day that 5-run total might suggest. Upside for sure after he comes out of the game against the Rockies bullpen, it just gets better. So definitely interested in playing some cards bats. This mediocre team, I mean, when they're showing these kind of numbers, it's a different conversation about the cards. They're showing a ton of upside today. Rockies bats going up against Miles Michael is 63.71 for him, just a 16% strikeout rate, another low-end option. But he does have the ability to eat innings. 111 innings in 22 starts is all right. And he's demonstrated more ability to do that in years past. 5.11 ERA and a 4.68 xFIP, but pitching against the Rockies can benefit you in those categories. Just a 3.54 implied total. Wouldn't shock me if the Rocks put up 5-6 runs against over 6-7 innings of Miles Michaelis. But at 63, at 71, I do think he's playable for DFS, just where we need cheap garbage arms, especially as SP2s on DraftKings today. It's just that kind of slate. I think Rockies bats are playable against. Tyler Freeman at 4,000, 2,700 continues to be really fairly priced, especially with second base eligibility. Solid 296, 378, 391 season, a 107 WRC plus. All of a sudden, I mean, with some medium samples and some small samples in here, look at all the WRC plus numbers going on for the Rockies. That's an 8-man average of 126. Now, granted, I'll leave out those 2, but how about the top 5? Top 5, 111 WRC plus. And those guys have played. It's not bad. This team is not good, but there is talent here. I'll point to the season-long barrel rates for those 4 hitters. That's an average season-long barrel rate of 11.7. It's an average season-long hard hit rate of 45.2. Those guys do have a little bit of power. It's also an average strikeout rate of 25.2 with a 6.2% walk rate. Take the good with the bad. But there's more talent here than people give him credit for. Now, Rockies on the road against the righty has always been a bad spot, a spot you lean toward the pitcher. But that's maybe a little bit different, at least with some of these bats this season. It's a little bit different, maybe, if people aren't going to these guys at cheap prices against a high-contact righty. So maybe it gets a little interesting to try and exploit some of the premium contact that Ezequiel Tovar makes for 32, for 27 at shortstop. He's hit 6 home runs. He's cut strikeout very significantly. That was his most glaring, ugliest point. And he's made strides over 216 chances this year. And he's really, really cheap. 184 ISO, 106 WRC plus. Hunter Goodman, their most expensive player, but that's a fine price for a catcher with 22 home runs this year. 278, 325, 519, a 242 ISO. What's not to like if you're just talking about a catcher one-off opportunity and you have money to spend? What's not to like about a 0 on Hunter Goodman against Miles Michaelis? Jordan Beck, solid contact, 14 homers, 13 steals, a 343 on base. Very interesting player across the board. Mickey Moniak has that same skill set. 17 home runs this year, just 5 stolen bases and gets on base a lot less this year. But premium contact, power, showing in a big way. And he does have the ability to get on base more, steal bases more. 111 WRC plus on the year. Warming Bernabel at 32, at 29. Solid 58 plate appearances so far. Kyle Karros, one of their highest end prospects, out of the gate pretty strong over his 13 chances. 171 WRC plus in limited time. 364, 462, 545. Keep it up, kid. Do we find out if he's Eric Karros' son? I would imagine he is, like I said the other day. I'm not going to take our time to look it up now. Somebody go find out. Let me know. Deadman price on DraftKings at third base. 2,300 on FanDuel. So, I mean, again, like, yes. I don't want to just top 5 it, though, because I want Karros in there at that price. And you also had Brent Doyle, Adil Amador, not completely off the board either. Doyle has 10 home runs and 11 steals, a 64 WRC plus, was quite a bit better last year. Amador has not really arrived in any form, but is a kid who was at one point regarded as a at least reasonable hit tool kind of a prospect. Those are the 2 lower end options here, but they're in play. But just doing the exercise here, let's just take it from Tovar down through there, and then Karros. So Tovar, Goodman, Beck, Moniak, and Karros. You're getting shortstop, catcher, third base, and a pair of outfielders covered. And you're paying $3,420, $3,500 a piece for the 5-man. To go against, again, Miles Michaelis. A pitcher with a 5+ ERA, a 4.68 xFIP, a nothing strikeout rate, doesn't induce swinging strikes. These guys feed strikeouts to opposing pitchers. But if they can connect, and he's going to allow them a better opportunity to connect, look at these barrel rates that I highlighted before. And even Doyle, with all his struggles, 11.5, 46.2. Monster numbers for premium contact. Within all the contact that Michaelis allows this year, he's given up a 12.3% barrel, 42.6% hard hit. The only number not above our threshold is the 89.4 miles an hour of exit velo, but that's high enough. 4.42% home runs. Is the most likely outcome that the Rockies hit 2 home runs, score 4 or 5 runs, and then that's it? Sure, of course. But there's a little bit more upside beyond that. They catch a wave on the right day, and this team can score. Cards Bats, obviously the much more appealing option, though. 5+ implied total. Lars Nootbaar at 38, 28, 12 home runs on the board, a 150 ISO. A down season overall for a very talented hitter. You can see the 9.4% barrel, the 51.9% hard hit, though, almost directly in line with what he did last year. There is more upside than that in Lars Nootbaar. Medium strikeout, draws some walks. Interesting player. Ivan Herrera at 42, at 31, still with catcher eligibility on FanDuel. That at least moves him around a little bit. 10 home runs, monster season, over 269 plate appearances. Was more interesting when he was a catcher on DraftKings. I would say that he's maybe slightly better than just another outfielder overall, but playable. Alec Burleson, just another outfielder, is pretty apt for him, I think. 14 home runs, 4 steals, a solid slash line, 280, 334, 446, but that's just the nature of this team. It's a lot of medium quality players who can find success from time to time, typically the opposite of what I'm saying. William Contreras at 43, or Wilson, excuse me, at 43 at 3,000, 16 home runs, 258, 344, 447, a 124 WRC plus, 14.5% barrels, nearly 50% hard hits. It's been an interesting enough player all season long. It's just, it's been the theme all season. He was more interesting when he was a catcher as well. Mason Wynn, average shortstop, 8 home runs, 7 steals, below average shortstop, actually. 299 xWOB is not encouraging. Low end contact, just low strikeout, medium walk. Succeeds via BABIP, but not an interesting DFS option. Playable, but not interesting. Nolan Gorman at 36 at 27 is interesting. 10 homers and 251 chances, a 183 ISO, more power than that for sure. Tons and tons of strikeouts, comes with a lot of downside. Drawing an 11.6% walk is interesting. That pushes him back up into 3 true outcomes type territory. 315 on base, a 104 WRC plus over the medium sample this year, and making very good but lower contact than he has in years past. Kind of a mixed middling, middle ground kind of season between the two different sides of what he could potentially be. I lean toward the power bet. And if that comes with selling out some of that walk, it's fine. Actually, no, that's not true. I guess we'll sacrifice a little bit of that. If we can gain back some of those barrels, we're in business. But I said that wrong. The higher walk rate version of him is more appealing. I just want it to come with a 200 plus ISO. But that's a really interesting bat. He's better at second base, like he is on FanDuel at 27, but very affordable at 36 on DraftKings, given the upside for power. Thomas Segisi, Pedro Paz, and Victor Scott, mix and match options all. Scott's got 29 stolen bases in 391 plate appearances, one of the league leaders. Just a 306 on base, though, 79 WRC plus. Doesn't come with a lot. The ability is kind of up there where the WRC plus is. These guys, pretty weak bottom end. Cardinals bats, Rockies bats. Miles Michaelis, mostly on DraftKings, is a lot less interesting on FanDuel, but could get you that quality start. Dollander is really difficult to reach here. I don't think you go that direction. Definitely a more interesting pitching matchup in this one. A lot of the pitching was backloaded time-wise. So Eovaldi has just been absolutely tremendous all season long. We were a little bit concerned when he missed those starts with the issue in his side. He missed one and then had the others pulled back or pushed back. And then he went out and pitched 8 in his last, I believe. Yeah, 8 innings in his last start, 7 innings in the start before that. So I think we're perfectly fine. Over those 15 innings in 2 starts combined against the Angels and the Yankees, he gave up exactly 1 earned run on exactly 7 hits, 6 of which came from the Angels. He 1-hit the Yankees over 8 innings, 6 strikeouts in that game, 0 walks. He walked 2 against the Angels, and he actually walked 4 in the start prior to that one while pitching just 5 innings against the Braves on the 25th. That was coming off of the concerns. Shorter start there. But obviously, that problem went away immediately. 10-2, 10-5 for Eovaldi, who's got a 1.38 ERA and a 2.91 xFIP over the season. What I'm actually more interested in is that spectacular strikeout to walk rate. He is one of the most efficient pitchers in baseball. Absolutely tremendous. Gives you great shots at depth given that efficiency. Good for strikeouts. Misses bats like crazy. Facing a still good but definitely diminished version of the Diamondbacks here. Very interested in Eovaldi. 335 implied total. Checks my interest in Diamondbacks outside of the top 2, plus another 1 on DraftKings, another 2 on FanDuel to fill out a full stack is fine. You've got playability on guys like Tyler Locklear. 27-25 across sites. Not out to a great start in his full-time role here. 38 plate appearances, 156, 289, 250. But the kid's got a lot of talent, put up monster numbers in his AAA time this season, and basically still right on time. Not into past his prospect expiration date. Edwin Del Castillo, 50% hard hit, but 0 barrels so far over 49 plate appearances. An interesting bat, good minor league numbers. A lot of strikeout, very low walk so far. Probably more a target for Eovaldi in this start. So you got some inexperienced players there in the heart of the lineup that Eovaldi, I think, is just going to be firing at, both of whom are striking out in the 30% range. Alek Thomas, Blaze Alexander, Jake McCarthy. You can throw Blaze Alexander kind of into that same mix. 95 plate appearances, 27.4% strikeout. He's made good contact so far. He does have 2 home runs in 95 plate appearances, just a 148 ISO to show for that, but it does create a 330 xWOB under the surface. Maybe arguably a little bit further along than Locklear and Del Castillo, but probably also a target for Eovaldi. Alek Thomas and Jake McCarthy down there are just mix and match caliber outfielders. Between the two, Thomas has been the way better player this year, but he's carrying just a 90 WRC plus. McCarthy just at a 43 and 159, 232, 292 slash line. No contact to speak of. So really, we're dealing with these 4. And Eovaldi, more than enough to get through those 4. Carroll's a problem at the top. 25 homers, 14 steals, a 138 WRC plus on the season, 21 home runs, a solid slash line, over 372 plate appearances for Ketel Marte, 157 team leading WRC plus. Those guys aren't going anywhere. They're stars. You got to get through them. But Geraldo Perdomo, yes, he's had a good year. But is he suddenly somebody that, despite being low strikeout, high walk, that I'm suddenly worried about Eovaldi having to face? Absolutely not. 10.8% strikeout, 13.5% walk is fantastic. 385 on base, creating runs 30% better than average. He's hit 11 home runs, stolen 17. He's not bad. I'm not saying he is, but that's not an intimidating bat. Lourdes Gurriel, monster bat speed, as we saw the other day. We talked about it again in Discord when it came up, but hit the fastest pitch in StatCast history since 2008. The fastest pitch that went for a home run, 104-mile-an-hour Mason Miller fastball the other day. Blasted it. 14 long balls on the season, 9 stolen bases. Overall, a mediocre season, but still a talented guy that I still believe in there. So it really is about that top 4 for the Diamondbacks. Among anybody who goes to Diamondbacks, everybody's going to roster 3 of those 4 guys in every configuration. So even though you're being contrarian by going to them, you're really not, because you're going to land on all the same bats as anybody else who else is. So you're still going to kind of fall in lockstep with a lot of those people. I don't love that spot. Ryan Nelson at 77 at 89, pitching to a 21.8% strikeout rate this year, a 3.20 ERA, a 3.98 xFIP. He's always going to look a little bit lower end under the surface than what he does. He just beats his expected numbers pretty consistently. Monster rating by Stuff Plus this year, 107.8. He's thrown really good arsenal of pitches this season. It's resulted in just an 8.9% swinging strike rate, 24.1% CSW, but he finds a reasonable enough strikeout rate. Doesn't lose too many hitters via the walk, and pitching to a tremendous 105 whip. He's given up some premium contact for sure. That's over our line. So is that pretty significantly. This is under, but it comes on a fly ball trajectory that can create home run upside. 2.70%, could easily be higher. Last year, it was the exact same number on almost exactly the same kind of contact. Had a 4.24 ERA, but a 3.98 xFIP last year. 20% strikeouts on 8.4% swinging, 24.3% CSW. Pitched to a better walk rate, but had a higher whip last year. A little bit more of incidental numbers that came through. But really rounded into form around this time last year. I looked at this on a show the other day. But just to... over 52 and a third, starting on July 30th through the end of the season last year. Pitched to a 3.10 ERA and a matching 3.10 xFIP. Had a 27.6% strikeout rate and a 4.9% walk rate. It's like a big step up in quality to end the season last year. They moved his innings around a little bit. He's pitched a lot in a hybrid role this year. He started the season pitching in a bulk relief role, did some opener follower stuff, but has been starting regularly basically since June 7th now. As a starter, 22.6% strikeout, so it's gone up by like a point and change. Same walk rate. 3.03 ERA. No, excuse me. Wait. Oh, yeah, the summary's down here. 3.03 ERA. Has given up 8 home runs over that stretch, but that's really the 8 home runs, but only 20 runs to 239 hitters, to put it in perspective. His FIP over that stretch, not the expected number, the actual FIP, is 4.10 against that 3-something ERA. Still reasonable, but that's more reflective of what he actually controls. So a good, not great pitcher, but at 7,700 against the scuffling enough Rangers lineup, definitely in play. At 89, it's less comfortable, it's less appealing, but I think the price probably keeps more of the public away. So I'm definitely interested. He is the son of Eric Karros. All right, figured. Thanks, Ricky. Doug said, do not mistake Gunn's kindness for weakness. Gonna tell you the best in the business. They're also friends, by the way, and co-hosted shows together on Stochastic and their own channels. Yes, also very true. Gunn is one of the best going. Rangers bats against Ryan Nelson. They're in play. I definitely wouldn't tell you you're crazy, especially with that 4.2 implied total and some of the numbers under the surface for Nelson. But I'm more leaning toward him. I'm actually starting him this week for this start, and then he's pitching at Coors Field in a 2-start week. But I need the innings pitched, and I don't really care about the ERA right now because I'm dominating ERA in the Dynasty League. Josh Smith, 3,500, 2,700 multi-position guy, putting up another Josh Smith type of a season. I told you we were going to normalize back to this territory. 134 ISO, 9 home runs, 9 steals, 262, 339, 396. Solid but unspectacular player, always in the mix, very affordable across those positions. Corey Seager at 46.31, underperforming his talent for the full season, but still getting on base at a 370 clip, as a 206 ISO, creating runs 32% better than average, 17 homers. Good, not great year at him. Semming up to 13 homers, 11 steals, 85 WRC plus, an underwhelming 318 xWOBA, 128 ISO. Pretty bad, but at least corrected some of what was going on. Still low strikeout, reasonably high walk. Could be problematic to face Ryan Nelson. Adolis Garcia is just 37.27. He's hit 16 homers, stolen 10 bags, down to a 269 on base. Just awful at getting to first base. 165 ISO is bad for him, 81 WRC plus. All of it flies in the face of his 12% barrel, his 48% hard hit. Jock Peterson kind of rounding into form. He's up to 4 home runs now and 179 plate appearances. Still terrible on the ISO, the WRC plus. It's going to probably not look good at the end of the season. Doesn't have enough time left, but a solid 8.8% barrel, 45.6% hard hit, and all the history we could need of mashing right-handed pitching. I would say that Jock Peterson very much on the board at 21-23 if you're considering anything from the Rangers. 8.36 in the home run model. Wyatt Langford at 4 at 3,000, very much in play. 15 homers, 15 steals. Cratering in the slash line department, but still carrying the 103 WRC plus, the encouraging 339 xWOBA. Rowdy Tellez from the left side, 22 across sites, still has a lot of thunder in that bat. 16% barrel, 47% hard hit, 12 homers in just 221 chances, a 218 ISO. Just not really out there all the time. Terrible slash line at 223, 262, 442, but a lot of power, and that's really all we'd be looking for him to do against Ryan Nelson here for the cheap pricing. Jonah Heim is cheap at the catcher spot, having a pretty low-end year. 9 home runs, a 68 WRC plus. And then Alejandro Osuna at the bottom of the lineup, dead min price because he's giving you dead min performances all season long. Nathan Eovaldi, I'm going to give it to him. Ryan Nelson, Rangers bats. Top 4 in the Diamondbacks lineup. Anything else wearing a Diamondbacks jersey? Oof, 544. Him luxuriating in this slate. Taking our sweet ass time getting through this one. Oh, the Rangers lineup snuck in there while I wasn't looking. Same guys, slightly different order. Smith, Seager, Semien, Jock hitting cleanup. Langford 5, Rowdy 6, Adolis 7, Josh Young in the lineup at 8. Interesting right-handed bat to throw into the mix. And then Jonah Heim. So slightly different than what we had. Let me grab these so we don't make that same mistake. Garrett Crochet, top of your pitching board, even against a quality enough Astros lineup. For one, Astros still missing their best hitter. But they've got Carlos Correa back in this lineup. We're not getting Jesus Sanchez against the lefty. No real surprise there. A lot of right-handed bats available for the Astros. Entirely right-handed lineup today. Jeremy Pena is interesting from the top. Carlos Correa is not uninteresting. Jose Altuve is having a good year. Walker's kind of slowly rounding into form. Same thing with Jainer Diaz. Ramon Urias is always interesting at a very cheap price with a little bit of power upside. Marisa Dubon, Chas McCormick, Cam Smith, mix and match quality guys down the bottom of the lineup. But I think the story's all about Crochet. 3.33 implied total for the Astros. He's pitched to a 2.24 ERA, a 2.68 xFIP, dominant rating by Stuff Plus for the full arsenal. 31% strikeout rate against just 6.6% walk, inducing 13.6% swinging strikes. Limits premium contact, power, keeps the ball down. He's just ridiculous. Absolutely one of the best pitchers in baseball. 11.5, 11,000. My one concern remains that 148 and a third in 23 starts this year. They are mashing the Crochet button as much as they can. It's got them in the playoff mix. Like I said, 7 innings in his last one, 6 innings apiece in the 2 prior to that. We had a conversation about whether maybe they'd be limiting more. I don't think they're gonna. I think 7 innings is gonna be the standard, and they're just gonna ride with it. and then deal with a blown out arm later on. The reason I say this, he's already had the elbow rebuilt once. He's a converted reliever. He pitched a career high of innings last year, and they've blown the doors off of that number. It's just concerning, but he's tremendous. And you're absolutely going there even against these Astros. 19.6% strikeout rate for the Astros, something worth pointing out. Top three guys, very realistically low strikeouts. So is Yainer Diaz. You can even throw Mauricio Dubon into that mix. He's very low strikeout, a lot lower quality overall hitter than the other four guys in that mix. And then you do get some realistic strikeout targets through here. Not that Crochet necessarily needs guys to be striking out into the mid-20s to find his Ks, but it does help. Maybe it creates a little bit of a bubble of downside for him, but as long as we get our 6 and change, our 7 here, I think we're perfectly fine to expect these numbers with a little bit of ceiling. Going the other way, Christian Javier, again, through 77 pitches in his most recent rehab, he made 5 rehab starts. Just went 3 2/3 in that one, 3 1/3 the start before. He struck out 6 and walked 4 in that most recent one, struck out 3 and walked 4 in the one before that. So the pitch count is basically built up to the range where I think 85 is reasonable. 5 innings of expectation is fine, but 83 across sites, he's not exactly fairly priced for coming back to this spot. Just 34 2/3 last year wasn't good in those appearances and then has been hurt since. 2 years ago, 4.56 ERA and a 5.16 xFIP. Still found his strikeouts, but walked too many. Found some swinging strike, but gave up some power that season. Year before, he was spectacular. 2.54 ERA, a 33.2% strikeout, a 3.53 ERA, or xFIP rather, a sub-1 WHIP, 13.8% swinging strikes, monster premium contact numbers, kept home runs down. Just lost that. And now is coming back off of a long-term injury. Hasn't really shown the flashes of it in the rehab starts. I think we need to see it before we're paying anything like these prices, especially against a frisky enough Red Sox team. 4.26 implied total for them. Roman Anthony at the top of the board, 4,300, 3,000, having a tremendous rookie year, over 208 plate appearances. I know the power hasn't shown up yet, but the premium contact is right where it needs to be for monster home run numbers to show up, monster ISO to show up, and he's hitting. 280, 394, 417. His creator runs 28% better than average. They just gave him a big extension for a reason. The kid is just good, and he's their leadoff option now. It's great way to start off a Red Sox stack. 5,034 for Alex Bregman. He's got 14 home runs, tremendous slash line all season long. Just a shame he got hurt, but 313 very good plate appearances in a Red Sox uniform. Jarren Duran at 48-34, 12 homers, 18 steals. A solid but slightly diminished season when compared to last year, but only when we compare him to himself from last year. 113 WRC plus, and those numbers for these prices is perfectly fine, and we know there's additional upside. Trevor Story at 44-32, 18 homers now, 19 stolen bases. We're going 2020 plus. 256, 301, 422, continues to pull just a 96 WRC plus and a 310 xWOBA. The 5.3% walks aren't working for me against the strikeouts, but everything else has been great for Trevor Story this year. Love the option, and if people skip over him, it's a mistake. Willie Abreu at 41, cheap on DraftKings for the power upside. 32 on FanDuel, perfectly reasonable. 21 home runs in 372 chances, one of the better power bats. Solid lefty to throw at the return of Christian Javier. If you get anything like the power that he allowed 2 years ago or in that short stint last year, you're absolutely in business with Willier. 9.99 in the home run model. If he was hitting cleanup, he'd be over 10. 10 plus for Alex Bregman. Realistic power for Trevor Story. For the other two lefties up at the top of the lineup, same deal going down the lineup with Romy Gonzalez, 46-29, differently priced across sites, 3 position eligible for 29 on FanDuel's really appealing. I would pay 46 for him on DraftKings though. 302, 341, 557 for the year, a 255 ISO over 208 plate appearances. Not all of that was against lefties. Abraham Toro at 26 on both sites. Mix and match quality guy. Solid season, over 260 plate appearances. Sedan Rafaela hits the ball consistently hard. Back down to below average, 99 WRC plus. Had been over 100 for most of the year. Was slightly more interesting this year than last year, but has always given us good counting stat numbers. Carlos Narvaez is a very affordable catcher for the way he hits the ball at 9.1% barrel, 44% hard hit. 9 home runs on the year. Just a 99, a 298 xWOBA. Not overly encouraging, but capable enough. Just to round out the Astros a little bit better. Pena's hit 12 homers, stolen 15 bases, and creator runs 40% better than average. This is by far the best season he's ever had in the show. Missed a little bit of time in there too. but has been tremendous and is not really highly priced at 43.32, but facing Crochet is not doing anybody favors. Carlos Correa's got 9 homers, a 108 WRC plus, never stopped hitting the ball hard, just lost some barrel in there, but still low strikeout, low walk. Jose Altuve's hit 21 homers, stolen 8 bases, created runs 28% better than average by WRC plus, has never hit the ball particularly hard, just finds his success, whether it's via an earpiece, a trash can, or just actually being talented. Walker at 37-29, 16 homers. Johnny Diaz has 16 homers. Diaz having the better overall season in terms of batting average, but Walker's gotten ahead of him in terms of on base. Diaz answering back with slug and ISO. Both guys dramatically underperforming their talents. In the mix, if the Astros are going to get to Crochet, these two guys are probably going to be involved. Urias is just a little bit of cheap power. Dubon and McCormick are just mix and match guys, and McCormick hasn't been himself for the better part of the last 2 years. And then Smith at the very bottom is just a 95 WRC plus. Interesting enough, little 319 on base between those three. He's been the best at getting on base. Some of those counting stats came earlier in the season. Does have a little bit of premium contact available for you, but fairly low end in the extended form. Crochet, Red Sox bats, and then just Astros bats at the bottom, and don't think we get enough out of Javier to be interesting here. Dodgers Angels, Battle of Los Angeles today. We do have the Angels. We do not have the Dodgers. Yamamoto, super interesting up at the top of the Dodgers lineup, up near the top of the pitching board. Starting for the Dodgers here. It's just enough strikeout in this Angels lineup to make me intrigued. He's pitched to a 28.5% strikeout rate against a 2.51 ERA and a 3.01 xFIP, inducing an 11.8% swinging strike rate, allowing virtually no home runs. 2.05% home run rate, comes on at just 7.6 degree average launch, limiting barrels effectively. Medium contact has been available pretty much throughout the season, but when it comes on that kind of an average launch, we're just dealing with a lot of in the park balls in play and a lot of opportunities to pick up outs via defense. 99 on DraftKings is very affordable. 10-3 on FanDuel is tremendous. This Angels lineup does have power in it, but against his ability to check home runs that's been demonstrated over those 22 starts now, it's having an impact here. Nobody above the magic number. Mike Trout at 7.18, Taylor Ward 6.29. So definitely a spot to take advantage of that. And this lineup strikes out at a 26% clip for the confirmed lineup. That's pushed up a little bit by that 38.9. But even if we do that, that's 24.4%. That's still one of the highest marks on the board. So Yamamoto, definite opportunity and cheap on DK for the upside. Comes with a little bit of downside, but would really need to lose some pitches to have that real risk that the Angels would normally present for power. Dodgers against Soriano, you can see he does the same thing. Negative 3.6 degree average launch, 7.9% barrels. He gives up a lot more hard hit and exit velo, but it comes on an extreme average launch. That cuts into the barrel rate, and it significantly cuts into the home runs allowed. 4.01 ERA and a 3.51 xFIP has been perfectly capable in those departments. An 11.5% swinging strike rate, has lost a little bit on some bad luck. Well, a 1.4 whip. And some walks. I forgot about the walk rate. 10.4% walk rate. Capable of striking out more guys. Was dominant for strikeouts as a reliever 2 years ago. Has lost a little bit of that in the starting role, but given the swinging strikes, definitely capable of punching his way out of trouble if some of those ground balls get through or if he puts somebody on base. Among the better starters on the board, though, he's just an average type guy. He's one of the better options in that next tier down of starters, and at 71 on DraftKings, he's very interesting as an SP2 option today, even against the Dodgers. 4.57 implied total for them. This version of the lineup, 24.2% strikeouts. That comes with now a 40% strikeout rate over 100 plate appearances out of Dalton Rushing. That's getting a little concerning for the kid. But there's some solid strikeout numbers in this version of the Dodgers. There's also tremendous threat, but with Soriano's ability to kind of check power, even Shohei Ohtani, and this happened to Aaron Judge too, if I remember correctly, below a 10 in the home run model today. That's significant. That should be an indicator. This is not to say that Shohei Ohtani can't hit a home run against this guy. Of course he can. But it is having an impact. Between the two things, gun to my head, I'd probably take the Dodgers bats. For DFS purposes at a very cheap price, with probably not that many people considering him, I might lean Soriano. It at least evens things out, gets it a lot closer. Dodgers bats, though, Shohei Ohtani's still Shohei Ohtani, even if his numbers diminished. It's still approaching 10. He's hit 41 homers, so I'm pretty confident he could do it. 17 stolen bases, a 171 WRC+. Mookie Betts carrying just a 90 WRC+, wildly uncharacteristic season out of Mookie, 240, 310, 369. It's just those concerns from the beginning of the year with that Japan trip very much came true. Been a bad season for him. It's difficult to play him. They keep rolling him out in the top 2 and said that they're going to continue doing so. Mookie Betts is in there somewhere. He's not just done for his career, but it's been a bad year. He's difficult to play at these prices now. Prices have come down, but I would argue maybe not enough. Freddie at 47-34, monster year out of him, 305, 378, 491, a 141 WRC+. Max Muncy right next to him, 16 home runs from Max, a 228 ISO, a 146 WRC+, a 403 xWOBA under the surface, one of the best 3 true outcomes hitters in baseball, and he's cut strikeout rate by 5 points this year. Monster season out of Max Muncy so far. Teoscar Hernandez, solid barrels and premium contact, 18 home runs, 254, 289, 464. Needs to push that on base back up. Very, very low walk rate. His walk rate's basically been halved year over year, but still a really interesting power bat. The unfortunate part of that is we're diminished for power output today. 4.66, uncharacteristically low for him in the home run model. Michael Conforto at 2.43, Andy Pias at 3.97 for homers, 9 on the season and 367 chances in an otherwise lost year for Conforto. Still makes interesting contact, as I will continue harping on, even if you guys are sick of it. Andy Pias at 42-31, having a good year, 278, 324, 63, creating around 17% better than average. The power output is cooled a little bit, but this is a tremendous 462 plate appearances from the young player. Freeland, mix and match quality at the bottom, and rushing's just basically been a problem lately. On the Angels side, if you choose to attack Yamamoto, Zach Neto's in play at 5,033. He's hit 17 homers, stolen 21 bases, creating runs pretty solidly. Very fairly priced at shortstop on both sides, even though he's expensive. Those are reasonable numbers for a shortstop who hits the ball like he does. Nolan Shannon was good at getting on base, resetting the table for everybody through this stretch. Mike Trout is Mike Trout, 45-32. Fairly priced for this version. 20 home runs, a solid 223 ISO. More of just a power bat these days, but there's monster power in there. It's just Yamamoto cuts into it. Ward, Joe Adell, both upside power bats as well. Solid double-digit barrel rates into the mid-teens for both hitters, but very up and down overall. 25 home runs on the board for Adell, 27 for Taylor Ward. Joel Moncada has 8 home runs, but down to 217, 318, 428 now in the extended sample. Still a 211 ISO, a 334 xWOBA, but that's encouraging. Still hitting the ball solidly overall, but there's a lot of flaws with Joel Moncada. Luis Renifo is a mix and match quality guy this season. The numbers are gradually creeping up a little bit in terms of the slash line, but it's been a bad year. Just an 80 WRC plus for a guy who's out there just to mix things up and help generate runs. 12.3% barrel for Travis d'Arnaud looks a lot like Travis d'Arnaud to me. So he's going to come with some strikeout, not that many walks. We're just fishing around for cheapo power output, but not the right matchup for that today. So a little bit lower end Travis d'Arnaud than I would otherwise be interested in playing. And Bryce Teodosio has been a little bit of average over 18 plate appearances and not much more. Yoshi, since we need the option, I'm going to give it a Soriano. A little bit of faith there. But he's very cheap. Call it a tie between him and the Dodgers. Dodgers, one of the, were in their usual position on the stacks board. Dodgers bats over Angels bats in a big, big way if you have to make that decision. Padres and the Rays coming into the 6 o'clock hour. We will get done and get everything updated on the site. Padres and the Giants. Did I say the Rays? I think I did. Rays are in the next game. $362 implied total for the Pods, going up against Logan Webb, top end pitcher in all of baseball. Giants pulling just under a 4 implied total against Yu Darvish, formerly a top end pitcher. This year so far in 6 starts, Darvish pitching to a 19.3% strikeout, 9.2% walk, a 6.51 ERA, but a much cleaner 4.43 xFIP. That xFIP on its own is still quite high, though, very targetable. I would say that's probably the real number if you gave him 200 innings. It's probably coming in somewhere in the mid-4s. Still generates a 10.6% swinging strike rate, capable of finding some whiffs. There are some strikeouts available in this opposing Giants lineup. I don't think Darvish is off your board at 66, at 75. What we need him to do is come out and replicate that start like he had against the Mets the other day. That was his lone good start of the season. He went 7 against the Mets, faced 23 Mets, 2 hits, 7 strikeouts, no walks, no runs. Every other start has been at best bumpy, and no other start has he gone out for even the 6th, let alone the 7th. But that was just on July 30th. It was just, beginning of last week. Or the end of the week before. But there is that ability here. Is it going to come out tonight? I can't say for sure. Sure doesn't look good. But this ballpark helps pitchers. That run total will help, and maybe we find some strikeout. So for cheap pricing as a dart for value, probably less appealing over here as an SP2 dart is on the board. Logan Webb is a tremendous option anyway. He slides at 97, 10-2, pitching in nearly a 27% strikeout against just 5.5% walks, 3.24 ERA with a sparkling little 2.64 xFIP underneath, 10.9% swinging with a 30.5% CSW. Dude just pounds the zone with strikes. 40.6% hard hit, 89 and change miles an hour of exit velo, but a sub 2% home run rate because he's another guy that just reliably keeps the ball down. And this ballpark helps out with the power thing. So tremendous option. Love the 9,700 price tag on DraftKings to face this Padres lineup that is admittedly talented, low strikeout, but they're only kind of medium grade for power. They're good at run creation, but Webb is very, very good at limiting that going the other way. So between the two things, I lean Webb and Vegas leans Webb as well a little bit. If you're leaning to the pods though, Fernando Tatis, 52.36, very affordable. It's been a big slowdown over the last month and change. He hasn't hit a home run in like a month. 17 homers, 24 steals, at 365 on base, a 127 WRC plus overall. Remains a tremendous talent up at the top, but if we're taking some of the power out, and you can see what Logan Webb's doing to those power numbers, 5.33 for him. Against a lot of pitchers, he's above a 10. So challenging day to find the quality for the pots. Luis Ariz at 4,200. Honestly, maybe more interesting today, given that we're looking to succeed via some sequencing and some BABIP if we're choosing to attack Logan Webb. 4,027 is reasonably priced. 295, 331, 403 year, a 109 WRC plus. Just continues to be less than appealing at first base and in the 2 spot. Manny Machado having a tremendous year. Down to 297 on the slash line. The other day, he was the only player in baseball. It was only player hitting better than 300 with more than 50 ribbies, more than 20 home runs, and more than 11 stolen bases, something like that. But just overall, a tremendous year, a 139 WRC plus. Hope he keeps it going through the end of the season. I like the player. Ryan O'Hearn, 42.29, got himself traded out to the pods. 14 home runs. The output comes and goes overall in terms of the power, but he's consistently been low strikeout over the last couple of seasons. High walk, very interesting quality player. 131 WRC plus out of him. Jackson Merrill continuing to hit the ball hard. It's been a down season in 363 chances. Nowhere near the player he was last year, but that makes him interesting. If people go away from him for the still relatively higher price anyway, let's say, than a lot of guys in this lineup, that makes him more appealing. Xander Bogaerts now up to a 7.1% barrel, 38.8% hard hits, significant gains over the last 2 seasons. He's up to 271, 340, 401 in the slash line, a 111 WRC plus, 10 homers, 19 steals. Been on a roll lately. Not that we chase rolls or believe in streaks or anything, but it's nice to see. Overall, I feel vindicated about the fact that way back in the beginning of the year, I said Bogey was going to have a decent season, and we wrestled with whether that was going to come true throughout most of it. And now we've normalized out to some pretty nice numbers all along. Low strikeout, fairly high walk this year. It's kept him interesting, and now he's kind of put it all back together, and he's just been good. Gavin Sheets at 36.29, 15 home runs. Otherwise mediocre, but very playable if you're going to Padres. It's just not a good day to go to Pods. Jake Cronenworth, mix and match guy. Freddie Furman, kind of a average bat, 270, 323, 349, just an 87 WRC plus. Limited power output. Low strikeout, but low walk as well. Very cheap at the catcher spot. Elliot Ramos at the top of the Giants. 4,400, 3,200 across sites. 14 home runs on board for him. Against a maybe more targetable version of Yu Darvish, but this one has not given up a lot of premium contact or power yet either. But Ramos would be a priority if I'm leaning Giants. 7.93 in the home run model, followed by Rafi Devers at 9.5, Willy Adames at 6.5. Devers has 22 home runs, hit a big slowdown when he first got to the Giants, but still carrying strong numbers overall for the season. Shot at getting to 30 home runs. We'll see if he makes it. 211 ISO on the year, though, a monster 384 xWOB under the surface. Adames has pulled his season together. Up to a 174 ISO, a more encouraging 338 xWOBA tells us there's more to give. 18 home runs on a 12.7% barrel. It's gotten good. It's gotten more back to last year's version of Adames. 47, 3,000 remains inoffensively priced. Dominic Smith, mix and match quality hitter. I don't like that bat all that much. Finds himself in the middle of the lineup. Succeeds via hit tool. Does get on base somewhat effectively. Having a decent season, over 140 plate appearances. Just not a lot of pop in that bat. 116 WRC plus. You can see the 5% barrel, the 33% hard hit. Matt Chapman is a much more interesting hitter and kind of the guy I would want hitting cleanup, but 4-5 doesn't matter that much. 4,500, 3,300. You're paying more for him. 16 home runs, a 120 WRC plus, a 198 ISO. Gorgeous swing. Tons of bat speed. Monster premium contact numbers. Matt Chapman's just good. I greatly prefer him to Dom Smith, even with pricing considered. Young-Hoo Lee, average player, 256, 322, 405. A little bit of line drive quality. Low strikeout, extreme low strikeout, and medium walk. Keeps the ball in play. More of a sequencing kind of a hitter, more BABIP focused, but not bad. 35-29, also not poorly priced. Patty Bailey, Christian Koss, and Drew Gilbert down lineup. Mix and match quality at the absolute best, I would say. You do have a 264, 307, 377 slash line with 3 home runs and 117 chances out of Christian Koss. Playable, but not overly appealing. Logan Webb, easy. Then it gets tough. Sub 4 total is what I'm wrestling with. I'm still going to go Logan Webb, Giants bats, Yu Darvish, Padres bats. Rounding things out with probably the most targetable game of the day. These two teams both rank up toward the top of the all the various rankings and indices. But there are talented pitchers on the mound. Or a talented pitcher and a guy who's overperforming his lack of talent so far. Ryan Pepio at 8,000 at 9,200. Not overly appealing for DFS use today, but would not shock me at all if he had a good day against this Athletics team, even in this ballpark. 3.77 ERA, a 4.0 xFIP on the nose, 24.1% strikeouts on an 11.4% swinging strike rate. My concern comes more around when he slips. He tends to slip pretty bad. 4.32% home runs allowed. This ballpark is going to help. That is unforgiving on mistakes, punishes mistakes. This lineup is going to exploit that. They have tons of power. This is the only team in baseball this year with 4 guys that have 20 plus home runs so far. I think that was from the other day. It might not be true anymore, but they were the first team to get there. Let's say that. Jeffrey Springs at 69 and crazily at 95 on FanDuel, pitching to a 3.89 ERA, but has a 4.54 xFIP. That's why I said he's overperforming his general okayness. 19.7% strikeout rate against the 7.4% walk. There's nothing special there. Giving up a 4.06% home run, and maybe that's where he gets a little more interesting, is the somewhat lack of barrels, hard hits, and exit velo. But it comes on a significant fly ball trajectory, and that's what I would kind of look at more here. Between the two teams, the Rays are the lower end team, but a guy like Junior Caminero can absolutely exploit that fly ball quality in this ballpark and turn it into a big, big home run. Johnny Diaz could do that. If Brendan Lau finds his way into their confirmed lineup when it comes out, even against the lefty, he could do that, or against the bullpen later on. So there's plenty of upside for the Rays. I greatly lean toward the hitters here. I do think either pitcher, and especially at 69, Jeffrey Springs, is at least dart throw caliber usable on DraftKings. I just don't like the pricing on FanDuel at 92, at 95. 8,000 is like the limit for Pepio, but I think you could reach it. You're just more likely to get destroyed. 5+ implied totals for both teams. Chandler Simpson in the top of the projected Rays lineup. Let me check one more time. Nope, still projected. Speed burner with a great hit tool. 290, 322, 345. Doesn't have any power to speak of whatsoever, probably will never barrel a baseball in his entire life, but sub 10% walks is interesting, especially against a 4.8% walk rate, because he's putting everything in play and then just beating it to first base. 32 stolen bases in just 270 plate appearances, despite just a 322 on base. Kid's super interesting whenever he's leading off. Johnny Diaz at 5,000 at 3,000 on FanDuel, 20 home runs, a strong season, a 340 on base, 121 WRC plus. Junior's got 32 home runs now, a 262 ISO. He's just immediately one of the best power bats in baseball. Kid is really, really good. This ballpark should help us find some home runs from this kid this week. Christopher Morel, love the upside for power for him. 8 home runs in just 232 plate appearances, just a 170 ISO, 81 WRC plus, but it comes with a 15% barrel, a 48% hard hit. He is a member of our little swing speed club, and he's only 32.25, and people do not like to play Chris Morel because he also comes with a lot of zeros because he's not at all consistent. Hunter Fiducia. I didn't do the thing with my hand because I'm holding this mug. 2,100. Pretty bad 24 plate appearances so far. Let's mix and match him through cheap pricing. Ha-Seong Kim at 37.25. Pretty bad 63 plate appearances. Was stepped down in quality last year, but had a very strong season the season before that. There is talent in there for a cheap price. You slot him in at second base in this ballpark and you can take advantage. Josh Lowe down toward the bottom of the lineup, 4,200 against a mediocre lefty. I have no problem with that. Up and down kind of a year for him. 7 home runs, 11 steals. Not the best version of Josh Lowe that we've ever seen, but a playable guy. Tristan Peters is interesting from the late spot of the lineup. Dead min pricing on both sides. Decent minor league numbers. A little bit of power in that bat. So far in the show has done nothing over 9 plate appearances. Literally nothing. Zeros across the board. But playable if he happens to be in the lineup. I'm not sure what they're going to do lefties wise here. And then Tristan Gray, similar kind of thing. 13 plate appearances of no quality so far, but a little bit of pedigree there for a very, very cheap price. A lot more to work with overall on the A's. Lawrence Butler at 47.29 has 15 homers, 17 steals. A very interesting DFS player. Having a down season overall in terms of the slash line, then the WRC plus at just 95 is problematic, but still hits the ball really hard. Still a really interesting guy once he reaches first base as well, with a little bit of bonus via the speed. Hits ahead of Shea Langoliers and all these power hitters. 55-33 for Langoliers, who's got 23 homers. He's down to 18.4% strikeout. You have no idea, or maybe you do. That is just, let's talk about how significant an improvement that is from his 27.2% strikeouts last year, his 29.2 the year before. Just dramatic improvement that I would not have said he was capable of. 267 ISO this year, a 129 WRC plus. Fantastic option at catcher. He's gotten expensive, but he's worth it. Brent Rooker at 57 at 37 has 24 home runs. Tyler Soderstrom at just 45-31 has 21 home runs. He dipped for a minute and they lowered his prices, and they probably shouldn't have. Now he's just affordable. That is a great option. It's probably going to make him popular within the A's stacks just because of his affordability. JJ Bleday down lineup hits the ball squarely. 10 home runs, mix and match quality guy, just a 96 WRC plus. Darrell Arnaiz is kind of interesting, 3,500, 2,700. Solid numbers, 45 good plate appearances in the show so far. Solid numbers on the way up, 126 WRC plus. I can get invested. He's very, very affordable. I don't love the shortstop positioning on DraftKings, but would play. Third base on FanDuel kind of works. Luis Urias, mix and match quality with a little bit of sneaky power on a player that nobody's going to go to. Like him a lot better than Gio Urshela. That's true of both Darrell Arnaiz and Luis Urias down the lineup. Urshela just never been a bat. And then I skipped over the 3-hitter, Mr. Nick Kurtz. 6,200 on DraftKings. 4,200 on FanDuel. 12.98 in your home run model. 23 in just 329 plate appearances. One off the pace of Brent Rooker, who's had 522 plate appearances to get there. Kid is ridiculous. He's the home run pick of the day. What a way to end the show. 6:15 on your clock. I'm going to jump over here because I got to fix Leo Pagano before I update all the projections. Thank you guys very much for your time, for your 2 hours and change there. Those of you who are listening on twice speed, which I hope everybody's doing. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. One last time, you have 4 spectacular options. Quad aces on this slate. Any one of those guys, terrific option at any price. Yamamoto in the softest matchup among those guys, probably followed by Eovaldi against the diminished Diamondbacks. Logan Webb probably the most challenged, but spectacularly talented and takes the home run out of the equation against the Pods more often than not. I'm concerned about only 5 innings out of Will Warren. I'm concerned about only 5 innings out of Christian Javier. I'm not concerned about Ryan Nelson, except for that FanDuel price is not all that appealing, but that probably keeps his ownership low. I do like that option. I don't like those two options, but I think they're super playable from the middle of the board on DraftKings. 8,000, 6,900, not bad pricing. I actually do like Ryan Pepio, just not against this team in this ballpark with his obvious downside. That team primed to take advantage of the power that he allows on a bad day. I don't actually like Jeffrey Springs, but that price is really appealing. Once we get into these options, it stands out. Both those prices are broken for this ballpark, though. FanDuel, those guys are so difficult to play here. Darvish, difficult to see. Again, you're just trying to bullseye that Mets start from 2 starts back. Zebby against the Yanks could find a big strikeout day. Somebody was calling for 12 strikeouts in the chat. I don't think he gets there, but could find some Ks against the Yanks. A lot of visible downside, too. Yanks, one of the top stacks of the day. Jose Soriano, in play against the Dodgers, especially at that DK price, but also here. Jose Quintana, in play against that terrible Pirates team. Paddock, in play, but the White Sox have been more interesting. That is an improved top of a White Sox lineup. Would not surprise me at all if they bend the day for people who go to Chris Paddock. That is a bad price for him on FanDuel. This is much more playable. No, I don't think. Yes. Probably not. Not at that price. Probably not over here either, given the lack of ability for a quality start. I didn't even bother with those guys on FanDuel. Probably not, but at least there's innings in the mix for Falter. Not as a follower, probably not, but very cheap. Just not getting a lot of depth and just coming back from AAA, and the card's showing a ton of quality, and then that's the opener. Ugly. Quad aces. I'm playing up there today. I'm going to get a good chunk of that and some Ryan Nelson mixers. I'm going to say thank you, maybe some Soriano mixers. That's about it. Tough pitching slate. With that in mind, you guys, thank you so much. Let me go get the projections updated. You're the best audience in fantasy baseball. I really appreciate every single one of you. If you get the opportunity, go over to rotoscouts.com, pick yourself up a subscription. It's under $1 a day. You get access to all the projections, all the hitters, all the pitchers, the individual home run model for every single guy, my home run picks every day from each team, as well as the overall. You also now get screenshots of all of this information, exactly what you see on this screen here. You get in a screenshot game-by-game format up on the site so you can do your own research, dig into all this stuff when I'm not chewing your ear off for 2 hours. Good luck out there, gang. Somebody go win something. Share those results when you do at rotoscouts. Oh, by the way, access is under $1 a day on a weekly, monthly, and quarterly plan for all those projections. Football's included when football starts. Basketball, hockey sprinkled on top when those start. All of it. Same price, no per sport fees. Anyway, good luck out there tonight. Somebody go win something. Share those results at rotoscouts on Twitter when you do, or in Discord. Free Discord's linked in the description below. And we will see you tomorrow for hopefully a more put together show. A little bit less scattershot. See you again.